Number 10. Lady Spider. I want to talk about Lady Spider's suit relative to the time period she is from. May Riley comes to us from what appears to be the turn of the century, at a time where steam-powered ships and locomotives were all the rage, and yet she still manages to craft a fairly impressive costume based on the technology of that time. May's father was an inventor, and it seems she was also bit by the inventing bug. Pardon my bad pun there. After her father passed away, she set to tinkering and creating her own spider costume. It might not be as epic as some of the others on this list, but relative to the time period, it would have been pretty powerful. It comes with a spider harness with 4 functional spider arms attached to it, and of course web shooters of her own design. Number 9. Spider-Gwen's suit. Not the comic book Spider-Gwen, but the Spider-Gwen from the Ultimate Spider-Man Disney XD cartoon. This version appears in episode 19 of season 4 in the story Return to the Spider-Verse. Here we learn that Gwen does not have powers just all her own, but instead it is her suit and its gadgets that help to give her her abilities, mimicking the powers that Spider-Man is usually known for. While this doesn't put her suit on the same level as some of Peter's other suits, it does mean that if you had Spider-Gwen's suit, you'd basically be at the same level of power when it comes to heroics as any other of your standard spider folk. Her mask even grants Spider-Gwen her own version of spider sensibilities. Pretty impressive. Number 8. Enigma Force. So, the Enigma Force isn't so much a suit as it is, well, a force. But last time we talked about Spider-Man suits, a lot of you were sad that it was not included, so this is for all you nerds that love the Spider-Verse and or that time Spider-Man was bonded with the Uni power. For the alternate Spider-Man of Earth 91110 from the What If series and of Earth 13 from the Spider-Verse event, that power never left Peter Parker. While tied to the Enigma Force, all of Spider-Man's abilities were immensely enhanced, and he also gained the ability to see things at a subatomic level and manipulate matter and energy. The only reason the Enigma Force is so low on this list is because it's still not technically a suit, but it does have a stylized look that makes it appear like its own suit of sorts, so I'll give it to you. Number 7. Ultimate Symbiote Suit. So this suit is really strong, but its strength kinda comes at a cost. In the Ultimate Universe, the symbiote venom is made in a lab as opposed to coming from outer space. It's created to be a cure for cancer. So if you can manage to get into the symbiote suit in that reality, it actually has great regenerative healing properties in addition to increasing your strength and being bulletproof. Its strength is so great it was actually shown to be tough enough to take on both Ultimate Spider-Men at one point, both Peter and Miles. However, the downside to the suit is that it makes the wearer increasingly violent, and Peter almost died when the suit was electrocuted. Electricity is really its only weakness in the Ultimate reality. It's got to be really strong electricity. And so after learning all of this information, Peter decided it was best if the suit was destroyed. I mean, what's wrong with a little violence? Number 6. Spider-Man 2099. What if we combine the Future Foundation suit with the alternate Punisher Spider-Man suit and sprinkled in a little sci-fi tech? Well, then we'd have this suit. The suit of alternate Spider-Man from the future, Miguel O'Hara. This suit is equipped with toxic spikes and airfoil cape complete with anti-grav particles, which allows Spider-Man, yes, to glide, and is also made of unstable molecules. Yep, it's pretty nifty. It also just looks super cool, which gives it some bonus points for style. And heck, if we are going the Into the Spider-Verse version of this suit route that was teased in the after credits scene, you might even get your own Spider Watch with it, which allows the user to travel to alternate dimensions. Pretty neat. Also, we need a new name for that item. Spider Watch does not really explain that it allows you to travel to alternate dimensions.
Coming in at number 5, we have the black and gold Iron Spider suit. This suit is a masterpiece. The black and gold go together so well. You can't not look like a boss while wearing something like that. Also, it has the extendable metal arms that every other Iron Spider suit has. Now, I'm well aware that this suit is only worn by Miles for a little bit. I know that it's mostly worn by Aaron Davis, who is the Prowler and also Miles' uncle. Man, I think you have to have family issues if you want to become a hero. It's like the trauma makes you better at saving people or something. Coming in at number 4, we have spider tech. As time goes on, so do the cool possibilities for suits. This suit was featured on the cover of Miles Morales 13. At first glance, it might just seem like a standard suit, but when you get a closer look, you will see that there's much more going on. There's a digital logo displayed on the front of the suit that has an amazing effect. It kind of looks like this static thing going on, and the same effect is layered over the eyes. Also, the glowing red on the gloves and shoes just makes the whole thing pop. I love how this whole thing has a very near future look. I don't know how practical it would be to have glowing parts on your suit while you're fighting crime, but hey, I still dig it. Coming in at number 3, we have Miles Cross Carnage. Whenever a symbiote gets onto someone, it makes them 10 times cooler, and when this creepy liquid alien managed to hook its claws into Miles, we got a variant look that is insanely cool. The black and red crossed with the flowing being of the symbiote really makes the suit look way cooler than a lot of the other versions of Carnage. Maybe not cooler than the Green Goblin, but that's a whole other beast. My favorite thing about this look is the spiral on the face. The sort of hypnotic spin that is entrenched in the face really gives off an image of insanity, and when Carnage is pulling the strings, you know things are going to get a little crazy. Coming in at number 2, we have Weird World Miles Morales. Yes, this suit has to be one of the coolest in the whole Marvel universe, and I'm not even just talking about Spider-Man suits. This is one of the coolest of any superhero. I mean, let's just take a look for a moment. First of all, he has a cape, and I know Edna Mode preaches no capes because they're not practical and they're possibly very dangerous, but my god, is this cool. It's all black with red webbing running through it, and then it comes with a hood. He looks like Batman crossed with Assassin's Creed. Then we top this off with the fact that this version of Spider-Man is whipping around daggers at everyone. Are you serious? A Spider-Man who uses throwing knives has to be one of the most lethal things on the planet. Coming in at number 1 is Into the Spider-Verse with the Jordans. Oh yeah. Into the Spider-Verse was a smash hit and introduced Miles Morales to a mainstream audience. I know many comic fans have been singing his praise from the mountaintops for years, but I feel like this movie was so incredible that mom and dad who don't read comics now know who this new web slinger is. And I have to say that this movie brings in one of the best suits that we have ever seen Miles in. Now, the suit doesn't give him any special powers unless you count looks that could kill. But in this movie, we have Miles wearing a black and red suit with the red logo sprayed on the front of the suit. Having the spray painted logo gives Miles such a unique look and showcases his personality coming through the costume. On top of this, we have him rocking a dope hoodie, jeans, and the Jordans. You gotta give it to Miles for having a pair of Jordans that match his suit perfectly. I do wonder if it makes it harder for his feet to stick to surfaces, but especially after the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, this has gotta be one of the best superhero suits ever. Alright nerds, that is all we have for you here today, and before I let you go, I'm going to give you guys my picks for my favorite Spider-Man video games. My first pick has to be Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. If you're too young for this, you won't remember how amazing this game was. Literally, it blew everyone's mind because it was the first time you could be Spider-Man in an open world sandbox game and go anywhere you wanted. I even remember the commercials. It was like, you can go from the rooftop to the blacktop. Nowadays, this is something that's very standard in games, but back then it blew everyone's mind.
Hey, you're actually keeping up. Nice.
Coming in next is Ultimate Spider-Man. This game had a wide array of characters with some crossovers from other comic books. It's a game that felt extremely comic booky with all the villains and expanded universe things that were taking place, which really made you feel like you were playing inside a comic book. And my last pick is, of course, Marvel Spider-Man for PS4. This game is hands down the best Spider-Man game ever made. The open world is amazing, there is a ton of fan service in the game, and the game was made by Insomniac, who has stood the test of time as one of the best developers in the industry.
Number 10, The Long Halloween. The Batsuit from The Long Halloween has become almost as iconic and well-loved as the story in which it appears. In The Long Halloween, we get to truly see Batman shine as a brilliant detective, which is a huge part of his character and what fans love about him. The Long Halloween suit is fairly powerful as it comes with Batman's iconic yellow utility belt, but the overall color scheme for it is a touch darker than usual, making it even more appropriate for stealthing around in the dark. Something that you likely want a Batsuit to be really well designed for, considering how much it's a part of Batman's general strategy for disarming and taking down criminals. Starting off light, I give The Long Halloween 1 pouch out of 5 for my personal Beltometer ranking, which I'm gonna do throughout this list just because I think it's funny and I want to. Number 9, Earth 1. On Earth 1, Batman's suit can plug into a state-of-the-art advanced computer system that he keeps in his Batcave. This system allows him to run criminal checks and also process criminal analysis. Within his utility belt, he also has a plethora of tools and devices to be used in the field. The Earth 1 suit provides Batman with all the items that he needs to unleash the full potential of his investigative skills and helps to enhance Batman's already impressive fighting prowess. It's a standard suit, but one that gets the job done and works well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I give the Earth 1 suit 2 out of 5 utility belt pouches. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it where we talk about all the various bat suits, goodness knows there have been many different looks and many different power levels of suit, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Exoframe. The Dark Knight Returns batsuit, known sometimes as the Exoframe batsuit or the Powered Batsuit, from Frank Miller's story featuring an old Batman facing off against an old but less aged Superman, is a tank of a suit. I mean, it has to be, because it has to help compensate for Batman's more advanced age, and it also has to make up for the power imbalance between Bruce and Clark so that he doesn't just get smooshed straight out of the gate, but can actually hold his own against the powerhouse that is Superman. This is a much more armor-based and durable suit. It also comes fully weaponized with some tricks that Batman can utilize to help him in his fight against Superman. Ultimately, the suit isn't enough to let him win the battle, unless of course his whole plan was to just put up a good show and feign defeat in the end, which based on the ending of this story seems extremely likely. I give the Dark Knight Returns batsuit 2 pouches out of 5. Number 7, Plated. The Plated Batsuit comes from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and is the new suit that Bruce has made after the Nomex suit leaves him wanting more flexibility. Batman can't turn his head in this suit, which of course means he has to rely on peripherals in combat, and he jokes, makes it hard for him to back out of the driveway. Lucius Fox, in response to Bruce's complaints on the Nomex suit, helps him by designing the Plated suit. This suit is composed of more separate pieces, which give Batman added flexibility, agility, and speed. It's made up of hardened Kevlar plates on a titanium-dipped fiber, with his cowl's new design being based on that of a motorcycle helmet, granting him increased flexibility in his neck so he can actually, turn his head. Batman also gives the suit sonar vision, which would use cell phones to help Batman see in even pitch darkness by tapping into said cell phones and using them as microphones to broadcast a high frequency, which the suit can then use to see just about anywhere in Gotham. He can also use the sonar vision to tap into people's cell phones, so he can also use them to listen in on just what's going on in Gotham and what people are saying, which is pretty creepy. However, Lucius was not a fan of the sonar vision because he felt it was unethical, equating it to spying on millions of people whenever it was being used. So while this was cool tech, it was never really fully utilized because Lucius disagreed with his design for sonar vision being used in this manner to spy on people. And he was the only one that Bruce trusted to ethically use it. In fact, Lucius's reaction was to agree to help Batman, but only once, as he felt compelled to resign because of how this tech was going to be used. Granted, the tech had a self-destruct built in by Bruce, who knew Lucius probably wouldn't agree to using that tech all the time, and it was destroyed after the one-time use, implying that Fox stayed on and of course did not end up resigning. The plated suit also didn't provide as much protection and ended up getting Bruce injured to the point that he would need a cane. Still, a solid 3 out of 5 pouches, but I feel like speed should not be as important as the actual armor of the suit, in my mind. If Batman was like, yeah, I just want to move my neck, I'd be like, dude, I just want you to keep your neck, you know what I mean? Number 6, Mark 1. The Mark 1 Batsuit comes to us from Batman the Telltale series, an episodic-based playable novel-style video game where your choices as Batman influence the world and the story around you, meaning that you get to see what it feels like to literally be Batman. There are a few different versions of the Batsuit that we get throughout the evolution of the story and the game. The first suit you get to play with is, of course, the Mark 1, which was primarily designed by Lucius Fox. The suits in the Telltale games really should not be underestimated, by the way. The Mark 1 comes armored, of course, protecting you as Batman against gunfire and even armor-piercing bullets. Aside from that, you also get more heavily armored gauntlets to defend against incoming attacks on your exposed jawline. The suit also comes with tech that allows you to pilot and control drones, so you can plan combat strategies and get surveillance before jumping into a fight. It also comes with a voice modulator, hacking equipment, visual holographic, and criminal and forensic analysis capabilities, thermal imaging, night vision, and sticky bombs. This suit gets a 3 out of 5 pouches rating from me, and that's just the first model from the game, so yeah, it also gets better from there. But I like the Mark I, so I wanted to talk about that one.
Number 5. Plastic explosive. A useful gadget for when Batman needs to tear down a wall or destroy something in a hurry. This gadget was a mainstay in Batman's utility belt before being replaced with more purpose-built explosives like bat bombs, explosive gels, or the magnetic charges seen in The Batman. What made the plastic explosives so impressively powerful was their size. In illustrations provided by DC Comics of the contents of the utility belt, it is shown that these tiny bombs were compact enough to fit in the tiny vials lining the belt. Not only that, but each vial seemed to contain up to 5 explosives. This implies that each explosive was less than an inch large. Considering the amount of damage each charge is shown to be capable of, that is undeniably impressive. Number 4. Kryptonite Ring. Gifted to Batman by Superman in case the Man of Steel were ever to go rogue, this ring with a small kryptonite gem was essential in helping Batman hold his own against the Man of Steel when Superman fell under Poison Ivy's control in Batman number 612. Kryptonite is of course very powerful when used against Superman, but what makes it even more impressive is how far Batman was able to get with so little. Superman often goes up against and beats foes like Metallo, who has an entire heart made of kryptonite. The fact that Superman felt this would be enough kryptonite to stop him says a lot about how devastating the effects of kryptonite can be, as well as the amount of faith he has in Batman's abilities. Number 3. The Voice Imitator. A variation of this gadget first appeared in the 60s Batman show, where it was used by Alfred to impersonate Batman while on the phone with Commissioner Gordon. A more versatile and useful version of this gadget later appeared in the Arkham Knight video game, where it was an essential tool in helping Batman defeat armed thugs in encounters. This amazing device is capable of mimicking various villains' voice patterns, giving Batman the ability to trick the various goons into walking into traps. This is an incredibly powerful tool for someone like Batman, who uses shadows and subterfuge to stalk his prey, and it's one of the gadgets I would love to see incorporated into the comics. Number 2. The Bat Beacon. First appearing in Batman number 406, this device allowed the Caped Crusader to summon a giant swarm of bats to help cover his escape from a corrupt and dangerous SWAT team during the first year of his career. This is a deceptively powerful device, as it is so small that it can fit into the heel of Batman's boot, but can send a signal miles away to the Batcave, prompting all the bats to come towards the signal. Batman has appeared surrounded by swarms of bats in the years since this gadget's appearance, but to my knowledge, we have yet to see this gadget explicitly used again, so it's hard to say how often or if Batman still uses it. It was of course adapted for live action in a similar sequence in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. Number 1. The Universal Tool. Described as a digital Swiss Army knife, the Universal Tool is powerful because of its usefulness and its versatility. It features a miniature computer with various wires which allows it to interface with different devices, functioning as a digital lockpick and a bomb deactivator. The handle can be removed to reveal a miniature toolkit which contains lockpicks, wire strippers and cutters, as well as a variety of screwdrivers. As if that weren't enough, its handle can be used as a hammer, although to be fair, anything can be a hammer if you swing it hard enough. This gadget stopped seeing much use as technology evolved and many of its functions got absorbed into different gadgets, such as the remote hacking device. However, it is worthy of respect due to its many years of service and the novelty of Batman having a full toolkit as one of the gadgets on his tool belt.
Number 10, Model 13, the Hulkbuster armor. Starting with an absolute classic, the Hulkbuster armor has been reworked throughout the years many times, those models being Model 36 and 52. However, let's focus on the first iteration for today. Rather than a full suit of armor like most other suits Tony has created, the Hulkbuster armor is actually an add-on to the modular armor that was introduced in 1994's Iron Man number 300. Basically, this armor had different add-ons used for a variety of situations, ranging from microsurgery equipment to the massive Hulkbuster. So, I guess kind of think of it as the Mr. Potato Head of Iron Man armor. This particular add-on was used when Hulk confronted Iron Man over the production of gamma bombs while partnered with Stain International, and you probably guessed it, but they did have a pretty big fight over it. Possessing these standard repulsors and unibeam that are incorporated in all base Iron Man suits, The Hulkbuster armor integrated a magno-hydraulic pseudo-musculature structure, which provided enhanced strength of what is assumed to be able to lift at least 175 tons. Sensors were also adapted to focus on detecting gamma radiation, and it had impact-resistant carbon composite plating and an anchoring system so he could withstand any hit that came his way. Although the modular armor appeared in Iron Man number 300, the Hulkbuster armor didn't appear until a few issues later in Iron Man number 304. But, I mean, we're all pretty familiar with this one, I assume, since it has already appeared on the big screen in Avengers Age of Ultron. So, let's move on to some stronger and maybe lesser known armors. Number 9, Model 57 3FB. Known officially as the Fin Fang Foom Buster, this suit was designed by Tony alongside Stark Unlimited as a countermeasure against his longtime enemy, Fin Fang Foom. Before we dive more into this design, I do just want to say this one is probably my favorite suit design but I probably am a little bit biased considering I grew up on Gundam and Power Rangers, so anytime I see a blocky looking behemoth of a robot, I am instantly in love. But anyways, let's not dive too far into this tangent. Let's get back to the 3FB. Deployed by Stark to intercept Triple F, that is what I'm calling Fin Fang Foom because my god, that is a real mouthful, when he attacked Manhattan. This suit was deployed as a set of autopiloted air repulsor cannons, and in true Megazord fashion, they combined together to create the 20-story tall suit powerful enough to keep Triple F at bay. Alongside the standard Iron Man suit capabilities, this suit can emit electrical discharges from the palms of its gauntlets. Now, unfortunately, Triple F was able to land a critical hit on this armor, forcing Tony to eject from it and continue the fight in the Model 56 armor, and since then we haven't seen much of it. If you want to see this suit in action for yourself, check it out in 2018's Tony Stark Iron Man number 1. Number 8, Model 22 Thor Buster. Similar to Batman and his contingency plan for the Justice League, it appears that Tony is ready to fight the other members of the Avengers if he has to, although I really doubt he wants to because some of them are literal gods. In this case, Thor gave Tony an Asgardian crystal with the hopes of creating a safer and cleaner power source for Earth. But after an Odin Force-powered and angry Thor begins to rampage because some Asgardian worshippers were killed, Tony is kind of forced to design a suit of armor powered by the crystal that is powerful enough to stop the almighty god of thunder. With a similar design to the Destroyer armor, this suit utilizes the mystical Asgardian energy for everything from flight to life support, and it's basically invulnerable with Thor being the only thing able to damage it. Unfortunately, it did not stick around for too long though, because once Thor got tired of fighting with Tony, he just straight up ripped the suit in half, and thankfully Tony wasn't in it anymore as he had already ejected himself, knowing this was a fight he could probably not win. Now I highly recommend you check this fight out for yourself because it is really well done, so head on over to 2003's Iron Man Volume 3 number 64 and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Number 7, Spider-Man 2211 suit. Max Born of Earth 9500 in the year 2211 was not only a time spinner, he was the Spider-Man of that universe and time as well. His costume differs greatly from most other Spidey suits, as it's more of a spider armor than a suit, with the only real similarity being the color scheme. Now his armor has 4 extra mechanized arms, is bulletproof, except at point blank range, and includes a guided webbing, electro webbing, supplied air, visual sensors, rocket boots, and a time traveling engine. Not only that, Bourne's technology in a suit allows him to view alternate timelines, perform mind wipes, and use advanced stochastic modeling to forecast the most probable future events. Check it and Spider-Man 2211 out for yourself, starting with 1995 Spider-Man 2099 meets Spider-Man number 1. Number 6, the Anti-Ox suit. Making its first appearance in 2018's Marvel's Spider-Man PS4, this suit is an upgraded version of Peter's advanced suit that he wears throughout the base game. He had been working on the advanced suit for quite some time while he was working at Octavius Industries, using any materials that were used for their work on prosthetic limbs. Now funnily enough, it was thanks to Otto's design and augmentations that the suit was able to come to life. When Octavius went rogue and kidnapped Mayor Osborn and got a hold of the anti-serum for the Devil's Breath, Peter quickly completed this suit to be able to fight on par with Dr. Octopus's tentacles. This suit is pretty similar to most of his other suits, however it has a resupply feature that distributes nanomesh that continuously refills the webbing or any other gadget that he has on hand. The suit also seems to act like some sort of extra armor for Peter, as in that final battle with Doc Ock, the suit gets partially damaged and you can see his regular old suit underneath it. Check it out for yourself by replaying or just straight up playing for the first time 2018 Spider-Man PS4.
Number 5, Fear Itself Spider Suit. The only thing preventing this suit from being higher up on the list is how short-lived it was. During the Fear Itself event, Spider-Man ended up, like all the other heroes in the story, getting his own set of Uru armor. In his case, it was a spider suit that was also equipped with 2 gauntlets, which concealed blades. Uru blades. It is magical and ancient and requires the skill of the dwarves of Nidavellir when it comes to crafting with it. Nidavellir is of course one of the 9 realms and one of the places where you can find this material. It is nigh indestructible, and Tony Stark, with the dwarves' help, made this Uru suit and gauntlets specifically for Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Odin ordered that all Uru weapons and armor that were used in the battle against the Serpent be destroyed afterwards, and so Spidey's suit was, of course, destroyed afterwards. Not everything got destroyed though, but Spidey's suit did. Number 4, Homecoming suit. This is the first suit that Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the MCU gets from Tony Stark. It comes with its own intelligent interface, which Spider-Man decides to name Karen. This suit comes with an insane amount of gadgets, allows Peter to track more easily and sneak, even managing to eavesdrop on others and hear conversations from far away. It has more than 500 different types of web shooters. Now, the only thing holding this suit back from being as powerful as it could be initially are its training wheels protocols, which fortunately Ned manages to unlock by hacking the suit, granting Peter access to the suit's full capabilities. That is a lot of web shooters, I'm just saying. Number 3, Superior Spider Suit. This suit is another one that doesn't really belong to Peter, but I guess it also kind of does? Belongs to his body at least. This suit was built by Otto Octavius following his body swap with Peter. So it's Otto Octavius, but in Parker's body. He adopted the mantle of Spider-Man in an effort to do better than Peter Parker after being inspired by Parker on his deathbed, while he was inside Octavius's failing body. Otto modified the suit after becoming Superior Spider-Man, adding claws and foot talons, a carbonadium lining to enhance strength and, more importantly, to prevent further body swapping, and extra spider arms as an homage to his previous role as Doc Ock, among other things. Later on, he'd even add energy weapons to this suit. Number 2, Iron Spider Suit. This is the suit that Spider-Man was given in the MCU upon heading to space with Iron Man, although Iron Man originally gave it to Peter to help keep him safe while he returned home, which was what he had expected to happen. Spider-Man, being Spider-Man of course, didn't listen and returned to the Q ship that he and Iron Man had been after, aiming to prevent Thanos from getting the Time Stone and to help save Doctor Strange from the clutches of Ebony Maw. This suit has environmental controls that allow Spider-Man to use the suit in space, and being built by Tony Stark, it is remarkably durable, allowing Spider-Man to take a direct punch from Thanos and still survive. It also has the immensely strong spider legs, which were shown to be able to withstand Thanos' grip. Whoa! Wow! Number 1, Spider-Man 2211. You didn't think I was going to just let the MCU take this one, did you? Although I will admit that the Iron Spider suit is insanely powerful. I cannot deny that. Now, Max Bourne is a Spider-Man from the future. His suit is definitely one any version of Spidey would be lucky to have in their closet. It is bulletproof, has 4 mechanical arms, and comes with a helmet that can help him to see into the future. Yeah. He's also got electro and guided webbing at his disposal, environmental controls, and his suit allows him to time travel. He even has rocket boots which allow him to fly around. He's actually sort of like the time police in the future, traveling around to help prevent timeline disruptions. So I gotta give it to that suit just for all of the timey-wimey stuff. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope that you enjoyed this list. What are some of your favorite Spider-Man suits? If Spider-Man had to permanently change his outfit, which costume would you pick for him and why? And what has been your least favorite suit for him to wear?
Number 10, Dick Grayson's Batsuit. After the fall of Azrael Batman, Dick Grayson was the next best option, even if it wasn't what either him or Bruce wanted. Grayson made some significant changes to the Batsuit to better the suit to his style and preferences. For example, he said, "No capes!" just like Edna Mode from The Incredibles. No, he didn't, but I wanted to say it. He did actually include a cape, but it was much lighter and had more specific parachute-like functions. He changed the utility belt too, making it metal and streamlined. No longer a big pouchy leather belt, it had mechanical compartments instead. While not useful for any specific moment, it was useful in allowing Dick Grayson to take up the Batman mantle more effectively when he needed to. Number 9, the Hazbat suit. Batman is famous for being prepared for any situation. One such situation would be bioattacks, bioweapons, contagions, and other related issues. Of course Batman has a plan. The Robin named Hazbat suit is a lightweight suit that protects Batman from any airborne contagion. It also has medical scanners that aid Batman in locating the source and counter-agent to any infection he may be affected by. But this suit is not a pushover either, just because it's medically based. It's able to withstand hits from Superman. Seems like a pretty useful suit to me. Number 8. Azrael. After the extremely famous Batman moment where Bane broke Bruce Wayne's back, there was a need for someone to take up the Batman mantle. Bruce Wayne's choice ended up being John Paul Valley, otherwise known as the anti-hero Azrael. Due to his mental conditioning, while with the Order of St. Dumas, he was a much more violent Azbat, even allowing people to die. His suit reflected not only his violent tendencies, but the era in the 90s that it premiered in. John Paul created a gray, yellow, and blue battlesuit with red accents. It had flamethrowers, gun batarangs, claws, and a night vision helmet. His violent ways forced the return of Batman, and the sweet suit was abandoned. But some of its capabilities would certainly have been useful in lots and lots of situations. Number 7. Superman Red Sun. We don't actually know a ton about the Batman of the Superman Red Sun story, other than his origin. What I picked up from actually reading this comic is that this version of the Caped Crusader is a bit more of an improviser, making use of what he has more than being able to purchase absolutely everything he needs. His suit and even the Batcave actually kind of reflect this. It's less form-fitting, being more like a coat and snow pants. And he even sports a Ushanka-style cowl. He also had more pockets and pouches all over and is seen with a bat-shaped axe grappling hook type weapon thingy. Due to his position as leader of a terrorist group, he carries bombs alongside his usual gear, and he even had a Batman-shaped dummy somewhere in one of those little tiny pockets. Number 6. Kingdom Come. In the story Kingdom Come, we see a world set 20 years in the future, when the noble, great heroes had mostly all retired, giving way to a younger generation of anti-heroes. Bruce Wayne had his identity revealed and had been crippled by Bane and Two-Face. This, along with his natural human aging, caused him to retire, but it's Batman, and he will never fully be out of the game. He completely turned to the Bat side, becoming the Batman, abandoning his real name and taking rule over Gotham City from his Batcave with an army of robotic Bat Knights. But this is a list about Bat suits. His new Bat suit is a mechanized power armor that allows Batman to fight in hand-to-hand combat despite his past injuries. The suit comes with grappling hooks, lasers, and sharp blades, and it can even allow Batman to fly. If that weren't enough, not only does it allow him to move like he once did, it actually gives him super strength as well.
Number 5. Injustice Batman. Batman in Injustice not only has the moral high ground against Superman, who becomes a villain in this reality after the death of Lois Lane and their unborn child at his own hands due to the machinations of Joker and Harley Quinn, but Batman here also possesses the Super Pill, or more specifically, the 5U93R pill, which kinda spells super if you look at it. This pill, when ingested, allows Batman or his ally, father figure, and loyal butler Alfred to go toe-to-toe with Superman, meeting him on his level when it comes to strength and durability. Number 4. The Merciless. The Merciless is like the Wonder Woman version of the Dark Knights, as each of the core members is kinda meant to be a stand-in for a member of the Justice League. He initially teamed up with Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, to take down Ares on his world of Negative Earth 12 in the Dark Multiverse, but after doing so was forced to take Ares' helmet before Wonder Woman could and use it to defeat her. He basically knew that Diana would not allow him to use it otherwise, and so he was like, nah, I kinda gotta take it, otherwise it won't get used. He took up her symbol in her honor and wields the power of Ares, but multiplied. He is amazingly strong and durable, can summon any weapon, influence others to anger or fighting, and is pretty much god level, so yeah. Number 3. Super Batman. Super Batman was the name given to the Batman of Earth 1 when he traveled to Zur-En-Arrh. In the main continuity, Zur-En-Arrh was the name of Batman's alternate persona created when he witnessed the traumatic event of his parents being murdered that resides deep within his psyche. However, initially Zur-En-Arrh was the name given to a faraway planet in the golden age of Batman comics. It first appeared in issue 113 of Batman in the story Batman the Superman of Planet X. Here, Batman of Earth 1 is teleported a great distance to Zur-N-R to aid Batman, the scientist Tlano, who watched Batman from afar through a telescope and was inspired to become the Batman of his own world, so he's also Batman. However, the intergalactic threat that Tlano Batman faces here is too great, and he needs Earth 1 Batman's help. On this planet, Earth 1 Batman's unique Earth-based human physiology makes him super strong, durable, and able to fly. Basically, he becomes Superman in terms of what he's capable of, which also at this time period I feel like would be pretty off the charts. Batman uses his powers to help Tlano and then is returned home afterwards and given one of Tlano's devices to keep as a memento. It doesn't work though, so it's basically just a little bit of junk that he can keep in his trophy case. Yay! Number 2, Darkfather. Darkfather was ultimately beaten by the superhero Holy Trinity, but only while they all kind of had a power upgrade all their own. He hails from the Dark Multiverse and is an alternate version of Bruce Wayne, who defeated Darkseid and took all his power and knowledge for himself afterward. Batman as Darkfather as such is a new god and also wields the anti-life equation, which he uses to influence others and to imprison them, forcing them to obey him and his will. He also has all the brilliance of main continuity Bruce and more. Number 1, Batman Who Laughs. Also known as the Darkest Knight, the Batman Who Laughs is an alternate version that is a combination of Batman and Joker. He comes from the dark multiverse reality of Negative Earth 22, where he as Batman ended up killing the Joker by snapping his neck after being pushed to the brink by the villain, who was dying anyways, admittedly. When he did so, however, he became infected by Joker venom that was released by this very final action. After becoming infected, Bruce went insane and had most of his Bat family killed, except for his biological son, Damian Wayne, who joined his side. Batman Who Laughs would go on to become super powerful after acquiring the powers of Dr. Manhattan when he had his brain transplanted into the body of the Dr. Manhattan Batman alternate. The Darkest Knight, even before this power upgrade, was already pretty powerful because 1, he was super popular, which always gives characters power, and 2, he was a mentally ill genius, which made him extremely deadly and dangerous to take on and kinda unpredictable. He also often fought against the superheroes he came up against with dark metal, in some cases managing to infect them and in so doing recruit them to his own dark army. Plus he's got all those dark knights, so that's just another thing.
At number 10, we have the Thrasher suit. This suit appears in Night of the Owls when the Talons of the Court of Owls track down his Batcave. Batman learned that due to their Electrum implants, the Talons had a weakness towards cold. The Thrasher suit is designed to withstand extreme heat and cold while allowing the wearer to have weeks worth of oxygen while being protected. So, Bruce Wayne turns the air in the Batcave extremely cold, weakening the Talons and taking them out with his Thrasher suit. But this isn't the only time this suit would come in handy. If Batman ever had to face off against another superpowered individual with fire or ice capabilities, this would be the suit that he would be able to turn to. Or I would imagine any underwater fighting could also be done with this suit due to the oxygen tanks built within it. At number 9, we have the Troika suit, or Jean-Paul Valley's armor. When he takes up the mantle, Jean-Paul decides it's time to update the suit he has to wear when it's time to go out to fight crime. His version of the suit is made of Kevlar and Nomex, making it impervious to bullets. He designs this suit preparing to face Bane and the mass breakout at Arkham Asylum. So, this suit is designed to face serious physical damage from an onslaught of angry prisoners with makeshift weapons. It also protects against intense heat in case of Molotovs or flamethrowers or anything like that. The suit also has a matte black color scheme, camouflaging him against the darkness in the city while he goes in to face this event. This suit is similar to the original, but it makes it onto this list because it's one that a lot of people don't talk about very often. And it just looks really cool. At number 8, there's Batman's Predator suit, which in Batman vs. Predator, he designs to face off against the alien creature. When in battle with the Predator, he's badly wounded and partially blinded, so when he adopts this suit to continue the fight, the sonar capabilities of the suit help to compensate for his blindness, and the exoskeleton of the suit gives him a boost of strength when he needs it most. In this battle, Batman hits Predator with a tranquilizer, which could have come from the suit as well. This suit is perfect for stealth missions with high risk. For combat, the sonar would allow him to infiltrate any space without detection, and the exoskeleton would protect him from any resistance he might meet along the way. And when he's able to find his target, he could take them out initially with one of those tranquilizing darts. It's another suit that he made use of in a very specific scenario, but it could be very useful in the future. So don't hang this one up quite yet, Bruce. Keep it. At least until you run out of batsuit space. Okay, at number 7 we have the DC 1 million batsuit. This one resembles the original batsuit quite a bit, but it's just got so much more going on that should give it a good spot on this list. It has abilities like camouflage, night vision, it has a fireproof cape, a reinforced exoskeleton, gliding wings, armor, a hard drive that holds over 10 times the amount of data as the Bat computer, which he could also wirelessly connect to if he needed to. The suit also has electrical absorption and holographic capabilities. This one is just so supercharged that for the average Batman confrontation, no one would stand a chance. It still sits further back on the list, but only because some of these ones coming up really go above and beyond in the face of some pretty tough villains. At number 6 we have the Batwing suit, worn by David Zavimbi's successor Lucas Fox. This suit has a faceplate, retractable cape, as well as an interior skin that reads his health at any given time and even offers first aid if needed. This could include hardening around a broken limb to hold it in place, or administering painkillers if there was no chance of taking a break from battle. The Batwing suit also has invisibility that uses holographic sensors. This suit doesn't allow for flight, but it does have a glider for jumping between buildings or escaping a tough situation. There's also a really bright bat symbol right in the chest that can blind or otherwise distract any opponents in combat. It also just looks really cool when it's lit up. This suit can also be controlled by voice commands, kind of like the Iron Man suit, and get this, it can actually take blood samples and compare them with samples from the Gotham City Police Department crime database. It also has hands-free phone capabilities to boot, which is pretty nice, and the suit can also change Batman's voice in case he needed to replicate someone else's, as well as a smoke screen. There's even more stuff that I'm leaving out, but I'll just leave it at that for now. This thing is just out of control and makes for a great tool to keep the user safe and ready for a fight.
Number 5. Red Death. Coming from the Dark Multiverse, Earth 52, first appearing in Dark Days the Casting issue 1, Red Death Batman used to be a hero who fought alongside Robin in his world. The events that transpired in Batman's life were taking a harder toll on him. He was watching all of these sidekicks just bite the bullet, so he was desperate to find this new power, a new way to get ahead of these horrible crimes. So he looked at his world's Flash. Batman honestly believed that he could use the Speed Force better than the Flash, so he took out all the Flash's villains, stole all their tech, and then he himself fought the Flash, and he was winning. He drove the two of them into the Speed Force because he had merged his Batmobile with the Cosmic Treadmill. That's always fun. And then that's when he absorbed all of Barry's powers. He did it. After Batman came back from the Speed Force, he referred to himself as Batman, the Red Death, where he would easily and brutally kill Gotham's rogues. All the while, Barry's consciousness is begging him to stop inside of him. It's kind of like a nightmare, this version. Definitely a nightmare. Number 4. Azrael. Right after the 1993 Nightfall story, when Batman got his back broken by Bane, just absolutely wrecked, he decided to pass the Batman mantle right on to not Dick Grayson. No, instead he chose Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael. His run on Batman wasn't the same as Bruce's. I mean, for starters, Azrael's methods were pretty violent and quite irresponsible. In all fairness, he was capable of defeating Bane with this new tricked out batsuit, but this guy thought that he was actually an all-round better Batman and a permanent successor rather than a replacement. Got news for you, pal. So once Bruce did recover, he had to force Azrael to leave the position. Even the style changes were quite drastic. Azrael made more than a few changes to the suit. Now it's black and yellow, this metallic armor, and then he added some other gadgets like claws, dual mag weapons, and of course, a cape. Just to, because he's a hero, he needs a cape. Number 3. Terry McGinnis. The year is 2039, and by this point Bruce Wayne has retired from the crime-fighting life. But meanwhile, Project Cadmus director Amanda Waller was out in search of a replacement, beginning with Project Batman Beyond. A major key element was using Batman's blood samples left over from his altercations, the OG Batman. That, mixed with some nanotech solutions, we now can make the DNA of Bruce Wayne. The future, how lovely. So Amanda found the Warren McGinnis household with Warren and Mary, and the couple was psychologically identical to Thomas and Martha Wayne. Perfect. So when they thought they were going in for a flu shot, they didn't know they were actually about to be the new parents of a new Batman. Amanda almost had both of them taken out to, encourage the lonely road of the Caped Crusader growing up, but thankfully she scrapped that idea. Because we don't need the same origin story, Amanda. Like, give the kid a minute to figure it out. Like, you know, they don't have to. We don't need to. Turns out you can't avoid fate still, because down the road in Terry's teenage years, his father ended up getting killed, and Terry believed that it was actually the corrupt CEO Derek Powers behind all of it. So he got the help of Bruce Wayne, who was part of the merger with Derek Powers, naturally. Then after facing off against the Joker's gang, Terry realized that Bruce was in fact this original Batman. So Terry stole his Batsuit and was determined to find justice himself. The Beyond suit is just awesome. Rocket boots, claws, cloaking device, the red and black, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Number 2. Batman. Coming from Earth 43, Batman is, well, he's just that. He's Batman who doubles down as a vampire. Nice. We see him for the first time in Batman and Dracula Red Rain. His origins are the same for the most part, how he became Batman because of his parents, all that jazz. That's the same. But then when he's patrolling one night, he starts to find victims all with the same injury. Their throats have been just slashed apart. Who could have done this? Why, Dracula himself, that's who. He gets help from a rogue vampire named Tanya, who was once part of Dracula's posse. And Batman is so wild, this guy willingly gets bitten by a vampire to become one, so then he can take on Dracula. Whatever it takes to get the job done, I respect that a lot. And finally, number 1. Batman, the God of all knowledge. The Mobius chair made its first appearance in New Gods issue 1, and the chair itself was created by Mobius, aka the Anti-Monitor. He gave the chair to Metron, but when Metron took his eye off the prize for a minute, Batman ended up becoming the God of all knowledge for a short time. What happened was Wonder Woman grabbed Metron with her lasso, yanked him right off, and then before boom tubes were summoned or anything like that, Batman just took that chance that he had and jumped on the chair. Musical chair style. Then the Dark Knight becomes the bright light. The whole team at this time is fighting Darkseid, and Batman's just floating in the background, just trying to figure out the universe. He's just searching for solutions via the cosmic realm. It's pretty spectacular. Things took a jump to overdrive when he also received a power ring. I thought he was a good detective before, but now, I mean, that's just OP.
Number 10. Iron Goblin. Iron Goblin was a version of Tony that was kind of combined with Green Goblin through being exposed to the Goblin serum in order to save his life. This saved him from the spider virus, but also made him insane like Norman Osborn. This version of Tony Stark ultimately decided to sacrifice himself for others, not wanting to completely lose his sanity, and as a means of making amends for all the bad that he had done in his life prior to becoming Iron Man. As Iron Goblin, he wielded the Ebony Blade, attempting to buy some time for the Resistance to escape from the Spider Army on Spider Island, which if you didn't know is all part of Battle World, Secret Wars, all that good stuff. Number 9. Old Iron Man. This version of Tony Stark is actually the original from the comics who died after it was revealed in the Crossing event that he was actually evil. Dun dun dun! This version of Tony was a sleeper agent for Kang the Conqueror, who had brainwashed him into basically becoming evil and becoming a villain. Even the Avengers couldn't stand up to Iron Man alone here. They recruited a younger version of the hero from the past to join them in their fight against older Iron Man. Unfortunately, this only resulted in younger and less experienced Tony getting his butt whooped and nearly being killed by his older self. In the end, older Iron Man was defeated when he basically saw the light and decided to return to the side of good, sacrificing himself and also creating a chest plate before doing so in order to stabilize his younger self, who would then go on to take his place. That's a real thing that happened. The Crossing. What a time. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list, if you want to learn about more awesome alternate versions of Iron Man, be sure to show us by giving this video a like, give it a little thumbs up, and definitely do that because there's lots of alternate versions of Iron Man that I still haven't mentioned. I didn't think I was gonna be super into Iron Man and that I would have all these alternates on my mind that I wanted to talk about, but there's actually a lot that I still haven't talked about. A lot of great ones. A lot of lady Iron Mans as well that we haven't talked about. Iron Womans. Iron Womans? I don't know. Number 8. Superior Iron Man. While this is still Tony Stark from the main continuity, Stark also kind of erased this version of himself from his brain in order to... This is so complicated, I love it. While this is still Tony Stark from the main continuity, Stark also kind of erased this version of himself from his brain in order to protect important information from falling into the hands of Hammer's director, Norman Osborn, at the time during Dark Reign. So, for that reason, I'm gonna count him, because he kind of erased this version of himself. even though it all happened in main continuity. Superior Iron Man or evil Tony Stark was created during the events of Axis, when heroes and villains had their alignments flipped. So heroes became villains and villains became heroes. It was a weird but overall fun time in terms of what the characters got up to. Tony managed to shield himself from having his alignment return to normal and, in secret, kept his alignment evil. This version of Tony had no moral code holding him back, and at one point almost successfully took over San Francisco with the creation of a phone app and a little bit of extremis. True story. Well, maybe a lot of extremis, because it went into the water supply. But still, I think it's impressive if you can be like, here's an app, it's free, now it's $100 a day! That's crazy. Sorry, $99.99. Because that's a more appeasing price to the eye. Did you know?
Number 7. Anti-Transformer Armor. Coming to us from Earth 7642, the crossover Earth that gave us some great stories like Hulk vs. Superman, Uncanny X-Men vs. Teen Titans, and of course, New Avengers and Transformers. Made out of carbonite nanotube transistors and powered by 15 amperes, this armor was created when Tony heard some rumors that giant alien robots, i.e. the Transformers, were hiding out on Earth. It was Transformer sized and made specifically for combat with them. But the armor wasn't fully combat ready at the time it saw action though. It had severe energy management issues. Specifically, it was extremely energy intensive and ran low on power very quickly. Additionally, it was also prone to overload if power was supplied from an outside source. Nevertheless though, it served Iron Man well in his confrontation with the Decepticons, but was ultimately beheaded by Megatron, and Iron Man then exited the oversized suit and continued combat in his Extremis armor. Funnily enough, after the battle was over, Tony thought about what improvements he could make for another anti-Transformer suit, planning to make it even bigger than the last. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2007's New Avengers / Transformers, number 2. Number 6. Mark 45 Deep Space Armor. For a brief period of time, Stark traveled out into space to work with the Guardians of the Galaxy in hopes of understanding what was happening in the cosmos just a little bit better. In order to do so, he needed to create a suit that not only allowed him to survive the harshness of space, but also allowed him to move around with ease. The deep space armor that he created is absolutely incredible, as it's capable of traveling at warp speed for interplanetary travel, featured upgraded versions of all its normal weapons, and came equipped with an armor extension similar to the Hulkbuster armor known as the Saturn V armor, specifically designed for landing on harsher planets. The suit also came equipped with the upgraded Pepper AI system, which was capable of taking over the suit in case of emergencies, and it had the Stark Omniversal multitasking software installed in it, meaning that Tony could control all of his suits on Earth from light years away. This suit is one of the most adaptable models Tony has ever created, and I highly recommend you check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2013's Iron Man Volume 5, number 5.
Number 5. Superior Spider-Man Suit. This is the suit that belonged to Otto Octavius when he took up the mantle of Spider-Man, following his body swap with Peter, or at least one of his suits, because he kind of updated it a few times. Originally, Otto was just going to steal Peter's body to use for his own means, as his old body was failing him. But Peter convinced Otto to carry on his work as a hero, and Octavius set out to be an even better Spider-Man as Superior Spider-Man. The costume that he wears is lined with carbonadium to protect against any unwanted mind swapping, as Otto obviously did not want to become a victim of exactly the kind of plot he had previously executed against his former nemesis Peter Parker. The carbonadium lighting would of course help to make the mask more durable as well. The suit was also later upgraded to feature spider arms, a nod to Otto's Octo arms, its own AI, webbed wings, and laser beams. Pew pew, laser beams. Number 4. Uru Suit. During the Fear Itself event, pretty much every hero was given their own set of Uru weapons and armor after Tony Stark made a deal with Odin to allow him to work alongside the dwarves of Nidavellir for Spider-Man to wear in and wield in the upcoming war against the fear god known as the Serpent, aka Thor's uncle called Borson. He was given a suit made of one of the strongest metals in the universe, Uru, and 2 gauntlets, one for each wrist, equipped with Uru blades. These items were so powerful that Odin insisted after the war they should all be returned and destroyed, melted back down into the Uru stone-like metal they were crafted out of. Uru metal is just too powerful apparently, we can't have it. Number 3. Iron Spider. This suit was created by Tony Stark himself in the MCU, but it also takes inspiration from a comic book version by the same name, also made by Tony Stark. In the MCU, it's gifted to Parker following the events where he defeats and helps to capture the supervillain Vulture. In the comics, it's given to him by Tony during the events of Civil War I, where Peter fought on Iron Man's side in in the first Civil War, which of course was between Tony Stark and Captain America Steve Rogers. This armor has also been worn by Mary Jane in the comics, who used it to come to Spider-Man and Iron Man's defense when they were battling villain Regent. Number 2, a Mark IV suit. What's better than having a millionaire slash genius slash superhero use his resources and intellect to build and gift you a suit? Being a millionaire slash genius slash superhero who uses your own resources and intellect to build your own suit. That's exactly where the Mark IV Spider-Man suit came from. The suit comes with built-in Spider-Man powers, so it is super strong in the sense that it can turn a normal wearer into Spider-Man when needed. Spider-Man added this in to keep a secret identity safe, giving this model to those he trusted to impersonate him when needed so that no one would suspect Peter Parker was actually Spider-Man. The suit is insanely durable and comes with spider drones, immunity to poison, enhanced senses and strength, and a brain control override function, which shocks anyone who comes into physical contact with the suit, basically causing their motor functions to go haywire for a lengthy period of time. This was shown to be successful when used on the extremely powerful sorceress Morgan Le Fay. Number 1, Symbiote suit. This suit created waves when it first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue 252. Originally it was meant to just be a change-up of costume colors for the web-spinning hero, but fans were not huge on these new colors, the black and white, and many expressed how much they missed the old classic red and blue costume. Because of this, the black suit, as it was known then, was given a backstory wherein it was explained that the suit was not just a suit, but an actual living being, an alien creature known as a symbiote, which Peter had found during Secret Wars. Despite the fact that Peter would eventually part ways with it, the suit would stick around in the comics and eventually find its way to longtime host Eddie Brock. The suit adopted Spider-Man's powers, was immune to Spidey sense detection, could shapeshift, and has since seen an even greater power-up over time, with it later on getting wings, poisonous fangs, a powerful healing factor, the ability to fuse with other symbiotes in order to grow its own strength, and even channel energy, use it to fire blasts, and could even absorb energy as well. It also has its own pocket dimension, which can be used to store an infinite number of things, I presume, though it's only ever been mentioned once. I'd kind of love it if Peter had put something in there like years ago when he was wearing the suit and forgot about it, and then randomly Eddie just like pulled that item out of thin air and was like, hey, where did this come from?
Number 10, Mark 66. Trapped and alone in 1 million BC, we see our Tony Stark of Earth 616 forced to build a new suit from the materials around him in order to survive. Dubbed the Ice Armor, Mark 66 is powered by some vibranium batteries that he was able to salvage from the Extremis armor, however it isn't capable of a whole lot considering how low tech it is. The armor seemed to only have very basic offensive capabilities, firing icicles from a wrist cannon. It was capable of repulsor blasters as well, but the more vibranium power the armor used, the more it melted because, you know, it's made of ice. As for defensive capabilities, the armor actually did a decent job because it allowed Tony to survive going toe-to-toe with Mephisto, but was quickly melted as a result of firing a massive energy blast to use the Time Stone. Take a look at this icy armor for yourself in 2020's Avengers Volume 8, number 31. Number 9, Bio Armor Mark 1. Hailing from Earth 55,921 comes a Tony Stark with a bit of an interesting twist. Maria Stark got bit by a monkey when she was pregnant with Tony and contracted a regenerative virus that mutated Tony's body in a pretty terrible way. His body grew some additional neural tissue throughout his body, meaning that his entire body was treated like a brain. So he was incredibly smart, but in constant pain due to overstimulation. Upon his birth, his dad coated his skin in a bacterial bio-armor in order to protect his skin. Fast forward a little bit, we see Tony working on his own versions of the Iron Man technology, and he became the Tony Stark that we all know and love. Besides the, you know, whole my body is a brain thing. Aside from just being a shield for Tony's chronic pain, the suit is also capable of flight, repulsor blasters, has a thought scrambler that can temporarily shut down all mental functions, and can even cut off superpowered beings from using their powers. This suit does actually have its limitations though, as it feeds directly off its user, which doesn't really matter too much for Tony, since his entire body regenerates. But if anyone else used it, they would be in some serious trouble. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2005's Ultimate Iron Man number 1. Number 8, Overload Armor. Appearing in the What If Marvel series, we have a Tony Stark of Earth 64,894 and his Overload Armor. After his first suit proved to be a pretty much a success, Tony decided to patent his new technology and sell it off to the world. But this proved to be a bit of a problem because it created this huge arms race between governments and effectively ended the age of heroes, since naturally powered heroes couldn't keep up with the new tech enhanced ones. Because of this, Tony became a bit of a loner and sealed himself off because he feared that he would get hurt or even killed for the outcome of his actions. But he never stopped working on new tech just to stay ahead of the game. This is where the Overload armor came into play, a massive suit that Tony used to absorb all of Magneto's magnetic powers, causing the suit to explode and envelop the planet in an energy wave that would render all of his tech useless, sending the world back into the Dark Age. After fighting with Magneto and his acolytes, Tony made up for his sins by not only taking down the villains, but also by forcing the world, in a very nice way, to use their funds for less harmful technology. Check out this suit for yourself, starting with 1994's What If Volume 2, number 64.
Number 7, Iron Man 2.0. This was a name that Rhodey took up later on as a version of Iron Man who served the government, but Tony Stark's BFF James Rhodes actually took up the mantle of Iron Man way before that in the comics as well, back when he was known just as Iron Man. Of course, with this being an alternate list, I thought just calling him just Iron Man might be confusing, so I took the later editorial name that was used in the comics when he was Iron Man another time. Rhodey ended up taking over as Iron Man actually way back in the 80s in the comics, after Tony's alcoholism was getting in the way and making it difficult for him to act as a hero responsibly. And Rhodey actually stayed as Iron Man for quite some time, while Tony took time off to relax and recover. Rhodey was an impressive Iron Man, but would eventually be forced to give up the mantle due to headaches that he suffered as a side effect of the suit not being properly calibrated to his brain patterns. Which honestly, I feel like if you're taking over as Iron Man, that should probably be a step that happens. Like, it's kind of rude that Tony didn't think about that. These headaches made him overly aggressive and irritable, forcing Tony to reclaim the mantle once more, because it was too dangerous. But he'd be Iron Man again later, so yay! Number 6, Iron Man 2020. This version of Iron Man is the brother of Tony Stark and the legitimate child of Howard and Maria Stark, because as we'd later find out, Tony was adopted. But before that happened, they had Arno. Arno had to be hidden away for years because he was sick and in danger, but once that was somewhat resolved, it's kind of a long story, Tony ended up learning of his existence and reached out to meet his brother. Arno Stark is also known for his brilliant intellect like his brother. In fact, he has even claimed to be smarter than Tony in the past, which I don't know, but I personally think that it could be true. Arno successfully modified the Extremis virus, attempting to turn it into a cure-all, and at one point using it to increase the Hulk's intelligence dramatically. Arno was also convinced at one point while operating as Iron Man that the only way to ensure peace between AI and organic life forms was to seize control of both sides' minds. Fortunately, he was stopped in this pursuit by his brother, Tony Stark. And I think now he's just like living in some sort of simulation that Tony put him in to just make him feel like a hero while he's like, I'm just gonna do this while we figure out how to not have you be around and be kind of evil. That would be good. Arno just thought he was doing what was best. I don't know what's wrong with that.
Number 5, Electro-Proof Suit. Although the suit is not super well known and generally considered pretty weak, this suit is actually a lot stronger than you might think and has saved Peter's life. The Electro-Proof suit is exactly what it sounds like. It's a suit that was specifically designed to combat against Electro's powerful and thunderous attacks. With rubber padding running throughout the costume, this costume not only featured an interesting design choice, it made Electro's attacks pretty much harmless. Turns out not every scenario needs a complicated solution. That being said though, this suit is pretty useless against any other villain, but oh man, when it comes to Electro, just super effective. Check it out for yourself in its first appearance in 1997's Amazing Spider-Man number 425. Number 4, Penny Parker's SPDR suit. First introduced in the Spider-Verse event, Penny Parker is a young girl whose father originally piloted a mech suit known as the SPDR. After her father's death, Penny was instructed by her universe's version of Aunt May and Uncle Ben that only she could pilot the suit thereafter. What's so unique about the SPDR suit is that it has a living radioactive spider within it that powers the entire CPU. While the suit definitely stands out amongst other Spidey costumes, its heavy armor, unique control system, and weapons make SPDR a true force to be reckoned with. This suit is ridiculously powerful, mainly due to the fact that its limitations were never actually written. Like many other manga robots, the SPDR suit is equipped with essentially any type of weapon that the plot calls for, with seemingly unlimited defenses, and then not to mention that it literally lets her travel across dimensions. Why not check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2014's Edge of Spider-Verse, number 5. Number 3, Stealth Suit. While fighting the Hobgoblin, he discovered that he had no protection whatsoever against the villain's sonic screams. After being defeated by the Hobgoblin, Peter returned to his job at Horizon's lab and decided to create a new defensive suit. Therefore, enter the Stealth Suit, aka the Enter the Big Time suit. This suit is constructed of an omniharmonic mesh composed of unstable molecules, which not only renders the suit to eliminate all input and output of sound, but allows it to repair itself if damaged. The molecules also allow for a sort of camouflage ability to hide in plain plain sight, which you know is kind of a must when it comes to a stealth suit. All that being said though, it does have a few drawbacks, but all in all, the big time costume has been used by Spidey multiple times, and it continues to be one of the most reliable costumes in his wardrobe. Check it out for yourself in 2011's Amazing Spider-Man number 650. Number 2, the Mark III. Also known as Peter's Ends of the Earth suit, Mark III of the Spider armor is easily one of, if not the best, version of the armor. During the Ends of the Earth storyline, Dr. Octopus and the Sinister Six were attempting to hold the planet hostage by speeding up the greenhouse effect within the planet, so Spidey decided that he was in need of an upgrade. With almost no hope for victory at all, Peter poured his blood, sweat, and tears into making this suit, and man did it pay off. The armor is electro-proof, impact resistant, offers well protected web shooters, and enhanced sensors are within the suit's lenses. Not only that though, this suit also allows Peter to fly thanks to built-in jet boosters, allows Spider-Man to communicate with his fellow Avengers through a comm link, and has a built-in utility belt that contains pretty much every gadget Peter has ever made. Get why it's so high up on this list today? Good. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2012's Amazing Spider-Man number 682. Number 1, Spider-Man 2099. Now Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of 2099, has had 2 different costumes, so let's go over both of them a bit, because honestly they both deserve to be talked about. His first suit was pretty similar to the Spider-Man costume that we're all familiar with, but has a lot more blue and featured a more skull-like spider. It was made of unstable molecule fabric, similar to all of the costumes of the Fantastic Four, and also featured a cape made of a web-like material called Light Bite. And all this served him very well, but eventually, like all things, it was time for an upgrade. When Miguel joined Parker Industries, Peter created a new spider suit just for him. This version glows red and can also change color. This suit is also made of unstable molecules bonded to Kevlar to increase durability, and has a better integrated light bite material to improve his gliding, as well as thrusters are integrated into the boots for launch. It also has more long range attack options provided by spider saucers running up and down his sleeves and integrated into his gloves. And of course we can't forget that the suit has an onboard sensor for complete vicinity readings. Check out the original suit in 1992's Amazing Spider-Man number 365, and then the upgraded version in 2015 Spider-Man 2099 Volume 3 number 1.
Number 10, the grappling gun. In the original comics, Batman was known for getting around using his trusty bat rope. When Batman was adapted for the silver screen in 1989, his gear was given a much needed upgrade in the form of the grappling gun. The grappling gun fires a grappling hook and uses a winch system to pull the Dark Knight to his destination. It wasn't long before this gadget was adopted by the comics and became a mainstay of Batman's utility belt. Over the years, the power of the grappling gun has varied, sometimes not even being able to pull the weight of 2 people, and sometimes being used to dangle a full bank safe, as in Batman Forever. What is surprisingly powerful about this gadget is that we are frequently shown the grappling hook being fired with such force that it is able to break through concrete walls before finding a stable anchor point. Number 9, the Batarang. Probably the most recognizable of Batman's gadgets. The Batarang has taken many forms over the years, sometimes just being a bat-shaped boomerang, and sometimes being more of a throwing star. What makes the Batarang such a powerful weapon is its versatility. It has been used as a throwing weapon, a climbing tool, and a cutting tool, not to mention all the variations such as the remote control Batarang, the electric Batarang, the explosive Batarang, or the rarely seen police whistle Batarang. Whatever their use, Batman has taken full advantage of this relatively simple gadget, proving that it is more than the sum of its parts. Number 8, the lie detector. Batman is really good at getting information from people, often by dangling criminals off of buildings or threatening to break every bone in their bodies. This has proven to be an effective method for the Dark Knight, and he has years of experience and training in this area, but it never hurts to be sure that the information criminals are giving you is accurate. That's what makes his built-in lie detector so effective. A newer addition on this list, this heads-up cowl display analyzes a person's heart rate, pupil dilation, and other vital signs, and then lets Batman know if the thug he's interrogating is telling the truth. This is a gadget that is so powerful that I actually don't like it. Call me old-fashioned, but I like the tension that comes with Batman having to use his skills as the world's greatest detective to get the information he needs. Having a computer that tells him every time someone is lying just feels boring to me. Number 7, the Bat credit card. First appearing in the 1997 film Batman and Robin, this gadget has been the source of laughter, scorn, and even a few internet memes. But allow me to play devil's advocate for a moment here. On a list of surprisingly powerful gadgets, you have to admit, a billionaire's credit card is really powerful. Not only does it probably have an almost unlimited credit limit, but as it says in the corner, it's good through forever, meaning that Batman never has to worry about replacing it. All jokes aside, Batman is known for carrying around large amounts of cash on him to pay for incidentals, such as in Batman Year 1 when he breaks into a men's clothing store and pays for a suit in order to escape the police. It doesn't seem that weird to me that he would have a card at the ready for certain occasions. It may be silly, but I can see why he never leaves the cave without it. Number 6. The Bat Shield. Appearing in the iconic 60s television show, the Bat Shield is a shield that unfolds from Batman's utility belt to provide cover from gunfire for the Caped Crusader and his sidekick. What is surprisingly powerful about this gadget is not only its portability, but the amount of gunfire it's able to absorb despite being made of incredibly thin material. This is a gadget that I'm surprised hasn't shown up in the comics, as it would be incredibly useful for protecting civilians when pinned down under gunfire. A similar gadget shows up in the Arkham video games, being wielded by Robin, but it has yet to make a leap to the comic book pages.
Halfway through into number 5, John Paul Valley. John Paul Valley, also known as Azrael, was a vigilante who once operated in Gotham City. During a short period, he temporarily assumed the mantle of Batman after the original Dark Knight was incapacitated by Bane. However, his time as Batman was marred by a descent into insanity, leading to dire consequences. As Batman, John Paul succumbed to the darkness within himself, unleashing a brutal and merciless brand of justice upon minor criminals. He inflicted permanent damage to his adversaries, leaving them crippled and beyond recovery, and one such instance was when he ruthlessly assaulted the Tallyman, mistaking him for the original Batman and retaliating for an attempted assassination. In his tumultuous tenure as Batman, John Paul also thwarted the Trigger Twins during a train heist and confronted Mr. Freeze at the Gotham morgue. These confrontations further showcased his unpredictable and aggressive nature as he struggled to maintain control over his actions. Ultimately, John Paul's time as Batman came to an end as he was forcibly removed from the role, but he returned to his original identity as Azrael. His tenure as Dark Knight serves as a cautionary tale, but also he went insane and started seeing Batmite, but not the real Batmite. It's a whole other thing. It's weird. Man, it's weird. In at 4, Vampire Batman. As Batman investigates a series of gruesome deaths in Gotham City, only to discover that the killer is none other than Dracula, the legendary vampire. Not even a joke, actually a thing. Batman teams up with a rogue vampire named Tanya to stop Dracula and his brood from terrorizing the city, but to do so, Tanya provides Batman with a blood substitute after turning him into a vampire to spare him from the cycle of death and killing that comes with being bitten, because you have to drink blood in order to keep living, so they give him a blood substitute to kind of stop that so he has it inside himself. And in order to destroy Dracula's minions, Batman lures them into the Batcave where Tanya and his followers engage them in combat. Batman detonates multiple explosives in the cave, destroying the Wayne Manor and exposing the cave to sunlight, which ultimately kills all the vampires within it. Batman then confronts Dracula on his own and impales the vampire lord on a tree that has been struck by lightning, because this is supernatural and you need something more than just chopping their heads off. This act, however, comes at the cost of Batman's humanity as Dracula drains the last of his blood. Nevertheless, Batman assured his friend Alfred that he had nothing to fear, because as Batman with new vampiric powers, he will live on forever. But I'm pretty sure that this doesn't go well, and I'm pretty sure he tries to take over the world. Don't quote me on that, but if you want to know for yourself, check out Batman and Dracula Red Reign. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Elliot Ness. Elliot Ness, a dedicated federal agent, was entrusted with the formidable task of dismantling the criminal empire of Al Capone during the era of Prohibition in Chicago, and this is also a real thing. This actually happened. But in this story, he was leading a team comprising of Danny Rasher, Frank Basil, and George Koken. They became renowned as the Untouchables, earning the moniker bestowed upon them by the press. Despite their unwavering determination, they found themselves constantly constrained by legal limitations in their pursuit of justice. Driven by an unyielding desire to rid the city of crime, though, Ness eventually adopted a clandestine alter ego and transformed into the Batman. Operating under the cover of darkness, his vigilante persona straddled the fine line between law enforcement and vigilantism. This dual role allowed him to operate outside of the confines of the law, using unconventional means to bring down the criminals who eluded traditional justice. But since he was actually a federal agent, he was able to, do things enough so that they couldn't just say, hey, he's a vigilante, this doesn't count. Elliot Ness, the federal agent turned into a masked crusader, undertook the mantle of Batman to confront the criminal underworld both within and outside the boundaries of the law, embodying a symbol of unwavering justice, but who also hunts Kronos with Dean Winchester on the weekends. But ultimately, in at number 2, Zur-En-Arrh. The enigmatic phrase Zur-En-Arrh began appearing throughout the streets and dark alleys of Gotham City, often accompanying Batman's encounters with criminals like the Joker. As time passed, the phrase continued to manifest, typically as graffiti in the background, until one fateful encounter with the Black Glove, who shattered Batman's mind. Various leader Simon Hurt exploited a deep-seated psychological trauma within Batman, triggering a mental breakdown. In the wake of this devastating event, it was unveiled that Batman had constructed a backup personality dormant within his subconscious for years, awaiting the activation code Zur-En-Arrh. This alternate persona transformed Bruce into a deranged Batman that called himself Zur-En-Arrh, which is a twisted reflection of his former self. Empowered by the persona of Zur-En-Arrh, Batman confronted the Black Glove at Arkham Asylum, where they sought to wager his life in a treacherous gambling game. He also faced off against the Joker, but despite his valiant efforts, he ultimately succumbed to defeat, entombed alive within the asylum's graveyard. That's so messed up. That's insane, dude. God. And finally, in at number 1, Lovecraft Batman. After witnessing the brutal death of his parents during childhood, Bruce Wayne embarked on a relentless quest spanning 2 decades to unravel the mysteries of criminal behavior. However, everything takes a dramatic turn when he, along with his trusted companions, venture to the Antarctic in search of an expedition team led by the eccentric socialite Oswald Cobblepot. What awaits Bruce in this frozen realm, though, is a peculiar sight. Cobblepot wandering alone in the icy wilderness, while one of his crewmen, Grendon, had transformed into a lifeless yet animated corpse, unearthing a creature trapped within the frozen depths. Driven by the sense of duty, Bruce seized the opportunity to bring Grendon and the unearthed creature back to Gotham under his custody. However, as the backdrop of the crime-ridden roaring 20s sets the stage, Bruce becomes entangled in a web of connections that link Gotham's dark past to his own father, his parents' death, and a slain scientist named Kirk Longstrom, who possesses the ability to communicate with bats. Through his investigations, Bruce discovers that he alone possesses the power to thwart the sinister cult of Ghoul, who seek to bring out the demise of Gotham and the world itself. Basically, this is Lovecraft Batman, okay? Think Cthulhu but Batman, and that's what you get.
Coming in at number 10, we have the homemade Miles Morales suit. I love when you go back through the comics and you find the first suit that every super put on. You have the janky Iron Man suit that was too bulky to fly, you have the old school Blade looking amazing in the 70s attire, and the famous purple pantsed Hulk. With Miles, we have a classic look of the sweater thrown over a black t-shirt with the black pants on. This suit is just amazing because it marks the dawn of a hero, the moment when you accept the fact that you're going to take on all the evil in the world and protect the people who can't protect themselves. And it shows how young, unexperienced, and unprepared Miles is to go out and fight crime. Those first few years as a super are some of the best comics you can read. It's fun watching the hero make little mistakes while trying to stop a bank robbery. It's a refreshing break from trying to stop Thanos from collecting the Infinity Gems. I gotta say, that's probably a lot easier. Coming in at number 9, we have Miles wearing Spider-Man. This happens a lot in comics. A superhero dies and then a less experienced hero with similar abilities puts on the suit to take up the mantle, so the world feels safe and no one knows that they passed away. We saw it happen in Batman when everyone thought that he was dead and Nightwing decided he would become the new Bat. And then the same thing would happen with Miles, but in a much less official way. In the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, there was the tragic death of Peter Parker. The world was now left without Spider-Man. Miles thought that New York should not be without the friendly neighborhood hero. Now, unlike Nightwing becoming Batman, Miles didn't have access to the official tools that Spider-Man had been using, so he ended up wearing a Spider-Man suit that a friend purchased for him from a Halloween store. You can imagine this wasn't the same quality suit that Peter Parker had been repping, but hey, a hero gotta do what a hero gotta do. Coming in at number 8, we have the Spider-Verse Spider-Man costume. Let's roll from one tacky, poorly fitting Spider-Man knockoff suit right into another. In the movie Into the Spider-Verse, we have Miles wearing a Spider-Man costume that he cuts eye holes into, and it's way too baggy for him. This is a hilarious look, and it really showcases the hero just starting out and having no idea what he's doing. Not only that, but Miles got this suit from Stan Lee himself. Do you guys remember that scene in the movie? Just a warning for anyone who hasn't seen Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but there will be some spoilers coming up. In this scene, Spider-Man has just died. Miles goes into a store to get a Spider-Man costume. He then gets the suit from Stan Lee, and Stan Lee says, "I'm going to miss him." And this was right after Stan Lee had just passed away. I'm not confirming that me and my bro cried in the theater, but we might have cried in the theater.
Number 7, Mark 52 Hulkbuster Car. Now if you're not familiar with this armor, don't worry, I also didn't know it existed until today. The Mark 52 is actually just the Mark 44 Hulkbuster seen in the MCU, but unlike the MCU's take on the comics Hulkbuster, this suit was also a car for some reason. Yep, that's right, what looks just like a simple flying car is actually a fully functioning Iron Man armor that could be deployed from the push of a button. Now in its vehicle form, the armor can achieve flight with the use of 2 repulsor turbines on its bottom, and then by pressing the button on the car's panel, the entire thing transformed into a Hulkbuster armor in a matter of seconds. It's basically just a transformer. This marked the first time a suit of armor in the Marvel Universe continuity was adapted from the MCU. While certain artists' depiction of the Iron Man armor Mark 42 included a helmet design lifted from the standard Iron Man helmet outline used in the MCU, the Mark 52 is the first armor with a design taken straight and entirely from the films. Now why Tony decided he needed another Hulkbuster at this point in time is beyond me, because he certainly was not fighting any big bad guys. But also why he thought it needed to be a flying car as well just makes absolutely no sense. Like, he really wasn't struggling for any money because he had just sold Stark Tower at the time, and I don't know, maybe he just wanted to see if it was possible. Either way, check it out for yourself in 2016's all new, all different Avengers number 1. Number 6, Ablative Armor. This is another one of Tony's armors that wasn't supposed to be dumb, silly, or weird, it just kind of turned out that way. The Ablative Armor was a prototype space armor designed for an impact-heavy environment. It's made up of tiled pieces that could be manipulated by a force field to dynamically protect him from projectile attacks, while also being used as ranged weapons as well. Basically picture those bicycle helmets that were specifically designed to break on impact, as a way to absorb the shock of the crash and thus protect the bicyclist's head. That's the sort of design Tony was going for with this armor, made entirely of little tiles that are designed in such a way to, you guessed it, break on impact. Once a tile is broken, it pops off and another one slides into its place, and new tiles are constantly being generated. And they're even capable of separating from the armor and, kind of just doing their own thing. There's no doubt that it's a unique concept and might be one that Tony would come back to later on, but it's a little bit clunky and overall just a little nightmarish to look at. Take a look for yourself, starting with his first appearance in 2003's Iron Man Volume 3, number 71.
Number 5, Dr. Anthony Stark. This version of Tony Stark only makes a brief appearance in the comics, having appeared less than a handful of times and making his first appearance in all new X-Men Annual Issue number 1. He hails from the reality temporarily numbered 591, not an official number just yet. Here Tony Stark has become Sorcerer Supreme of the entire galaxy in this alternate future of the year 2099. He discusses the blend and interchangeability of both science and magic. It seems as the years passed for this Tony, he only became even smarter, wiser, and more mystical. Neat. Number 4, MCU Iron Man. Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was the one who managed to put a stop to Thanos once and for all. He created a gauntlet capable of handling and wielding the awesome power of the Infinity Stones, and was also the one to discover time travel. Well, to discover a version of time travel that actually worked. Banner was close, of course, but I don't think either he or Scott Lang would have gotten there in time without Tony Stark's breakthrough aha moment. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well, Tony Stark is the main creator of Ultron. While this ended up overall being a bad move on his part as Ultron became a supervillain, the accomplishment of creating an AI that powerful and complex is still really impressive. And without Ultron, we'd never have gotten Vision. This version of the character, played by Robert Downey Jr., also really helped to skyrocket Iron Man's popularity in the comics and around the world. R.I.P. MCU Iron Man. You will be missed. Number 3, Iron Lantern. I'm really happy that this is the amalgamated version of this name that we went with instead of Green Man, which is less exhilarating by comparison. Green Man. Iron Lantern is a hero who comes to us from the Amalgamverse, and unsurprisingly, he is a mashup of DC's Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, and Marvel's Iron Man, Tony Stark. His name is Harold Hal Stark, and he gets his powers from a suit he made using a battery that he found amidst the wreckage of an alien ship. I love Amalgam characters. Number 2, Iron Hammer. Stark Odinson is the version of Tony and Thor who hails from Warp World. Warp World was created when Gamora folded the universe in half using the power of the Infinity Stones. She then sealed these blended souls within the Soul Stone. While everything would be set right, this version of the universe was still allowed to continue to exist, and and kind of made its own thing, which I'm happy about because Warp World is pretty cool. Iron Hammer has both the ingenuity and brilliant armor of Tony Stark, as well as the Asgardian strength, immortality, and hammer Mjolnir of Thor Odinson. Number 1. Infamous Iron Man. Controversial opinion possibly, but I think Victor Von Doom is the most powerful of all of the Iron Mans. Doom took up the mantle of Iron Man following the events of Civil War II, which saw Tony left in a coma as a result of a fight with Captain Marvel. Dr. Doom, after the events of Secret Wars, had been looking to turn over a new leaf, and had decided to ally himself with Tony Stark as such, which also meant fighting on his side during Civil War II. In his honor, Doom took up the mantle of infamous Iron Man and proved himself to be one of the most capable versions of the hero that we've ever seen. Honestly, I feel like Doom as any hero or villain would be so powerful. I just love Dr. Doom. I don't know, spoiler alert, I love Dr. Doom. You already knew that. When this happened, even the villains knew they needed to be on high alert, gathering to discuss an alliance as they assumed this would be the only way to protect themselves against infamous Iron Man, only to have Doom drop in on the meeting and make quick work of, well, pretty much all of them. Infamous Iron Man was great, and honestly, it was too short-lived. Come back, infamous Iron Man, come back to us. Number 10. The Batman from Red Sun. While we will be focusing on Batman here from Earth 30, the reality of Superman Red Sun, it should be noted that there are more, and that really the symbol of Batman is what is so powerful here. However, it all started with one man who we aren't even given the true name of. We simply know him as Batman. It was his mission to take down the man responsible for his parents' murder, Pyotr Roslov. In his attempt to get to Roslov, however, he ended up being pitted against the Soviet hero Superman, aka the Red Sun. Batman almost succeeded in defeating Superman here, but Wonder Woman unexpectedly became free of her bonds, turning the tides of the fight in Superman's favor. In the end, Batman decided to take his own life rather than be captured, blowing himself up but confessing to Superman beforehand the truth about the corrupt Roslov, and in so doing achieved his mission. While the original Batman died, others would later take his place in the fight for justice, inspired by the stories of his heroism. Number 9. Owlman. Owlman isn't a direct alternate version of Bruce Wayne, as he's the older brother of Bruce on Earth 3, Thomas Wayne Jr., the elder son of Martha and Thomas Wayne. However, he is the equal counterpart to main continuity Bruce, considering his place on the crime syndicate as their Batman, and so for that, we're going to include him here. When Thomas was younger, he orchestrated the death of his own parents as he believed they were squandering and mismanaging his inheritance, the family wealth. He even tried to get his younger brother Bruce, whom he loved dearly, to join him, but Bruce actually ended up getting cold feet, and Thomas as such was forced to kill him. As Owlman, Thomas is much more dangerous, as he does not have the same moral code as main continuity Batman, but is at the same level when it comes to his intellect, training, and skills. And his plans, he's pretty good at plans too. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more powerful alternate versions of Batman, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. 2 bat thumbs up. Do bats have thumbs? I don't think so. They have like little fingers on their wings. I think that's what they have. Little claws. Number 8. Richard Grayson. Dick Grayson is another alternate version of Batman who took up the cape and cowl following Batman's supposed death. Being that he's been trained and pretty much prepared to take up the mantle his whole life, being Batman's first Robin, Nightwing makes for a pretty powerful alternate Batman. Controversial opinion, perhaps, but despite his following in Batman's footsteps in terms of his moral code, I would say he is still a more powerful alternate than Owlman. I know some people might say like not having morals makes you more powerful, but I digress. At one point actually, he and Owlman teamed up and almost enacted a plot to take down the crime syndicate together. Dick comes with years of training and is known for his genius intellect, forensic skills, is a master martial artist, and would go on to become a very capable spy and develop espionage skills later on when he infiltrates Spiral. During his time as Batman, following the events and apparent death of Batman in Final Crisis, Grayson would fight alongside Damian Wayne, who acted as his sidekick Robin. Number 7. Father Bruce. You might refer to him as Bat Priest based on this art, but his real name is Father Bruce, and he is the head priest of the House of Milk and Honey, a new version of the Gather House. Father Bruce makes an appearance in Milk Wars, the Young Animals imprint crossover with the DC main world and characters. He is prominently featured in part 2 of the crossover in the Mother Panic and Batman special. The thing is, Father Bruce isn't really an alternate, but he's so cool and this story is just so bizarre and great that I thought we needed to mention him here. I actually checked this out and then I was like, man, I gotta read Mother Panic, because I believe the writer of Mother Panic is the one that writes this comic. I'm sorry, I don't remember their name off the top of my head, but you should check it out. Father Bruce is a version of Batman who has been twisted into a priest. Here, Father Bruce is in charge of a small army of Robins known as the Holy Sidekick Choir of Merciful Justice, who he teaches using his book of Bat Manners and divine wisdom. They drink the milk created by Mother Partake, who does so in an eerie manner. She kind of creates it with her fingers, it's really weird, and have their histories rewritten by a golden machine. Bruce himself is trapped here until Mother Panic, aka Violet Page, manages to free him and he returns to his old self. But even in this alternate persona, he's pretty mighty. Also in this delusional, brainwash created reality, Bruce believes it is a priest crashing through his window, not a bat, that inspired him to take up the mantle of Father Bruce and become a priest. I just love that. I just love that he's like crashes through the window and he's like, who are you? And then he's like, I will become a priest, as he like drinks the milk. Oh, it's such a weird story, I like it. Number 6, Man Bat Batman. Now I know Taylor on his part 1 had Batman, aka Earth 43 turned vampire bats, but I figured why not bring you another vampiric version of the hero, because I also just really love vampires and they're powerful. This alternate version of Batman is not actually a Bruce Wayne alternate, but instead is an alternate version of Kirk Langstrom, who we know in the main continuity as Man-Bat. Kirk Langstrom here was working on a cure for cancer, specifically lymphoma, which he himself suffered from. He did end up creating a serum that cured him, yay, but regrettably, due to its ties to bats, it also turned him into a pseudo-vampire. As a vampire created by science, Langstrom became a part of the new superhero Holy Trinity in The Gods and Monsters. He possessed superhuman strength, durability, agility, and could fly, and also held onto his genius intellect. The one downside of his vampirism was that he did require blood in order to live. Comparable but somewhat different to Marvel's Morbius, who is also known as a pseudo-vampire.
Number 5. A Joker Batsuit. What's the best way to attack Batman? You attack him personally. In the Joker Wars storyline, Joker does exactly that. Stealing Bruce's money, his influences Batman and his weaponry and equipment. He even steals a version of the Batsuit. What makes this even more of a personal attack is that this suit was meant to be a possible future Bright Knight suit. Joker modified the suit with a big smile over the bat symbol and ha-has all over it. We first see the suit after it is shown that the Joker dug up the body of Alfred and reanimated it with the Joker toxin. Everything he is doing is to personally attack Bruce, and this suit in combination with everything else was the perfect way to do that. Its use isn't helpful. Its use is against Batman. Is that cheating? I mean, I don't know. You decide. Number 4. Thanagarian armor. In the DC Justice miniseries, Batman ends up wearing a suit of Thanagarian armor to protect himself from Brainiac's mind control. This wasn't all this super sweet armor could do though. The armor is able to resist punches from Superman, and it's designed for combat against the world's toughest villains. Like a lot of other useful Batman armors, this suit also has a propulsion and wing system that allows him to fly, helping him deal with many more threats. It is also very obviously a callback to the old Batmobile from the 1966 Batman live-action series with the black metal red accent look. It's a shame we don't see more of it. Number 3. Augmentation suit. In a Batman and Robin New 52 storyline, Batman faces off against a villain called Terminus, trying to prevent him from destroying the world. Bruce faces Terminus in a new suit called the Augmentation suit that is equipped inside the Batmobile. While we haven't seen much of this suit yet, it is more agile than Batman's other armored suits, and it's capable of granting the man inside crazy super strength, the ability of flight, and it allows Batman to stop a nuclear missile dead in its tracks, which is really all I need to say. It's an incredibly advanced and strong Batsuit, easily making it one of the most useful. Number 2. Rookie Bat armor. This point actually technically covers 2 suits. And this point actually technically covers 2 suits, and one is another mech suit. This isn't actually worn by Bruce Wayne. This suit actually appeared at the end of Endgame. The DC story Endgame, not Avengers Endgame, obviously. And is worn by none other than Jim Gordon when Bruce is missing and presumed dead. The super heavy bat suit and the small stealth suit inside of it were created by Powers Tech for the GCPD. It had digital camo, thermal imaging, an auto-defibrillator, enhanced strength, cape-shaped bomb shields, rocket thrust boots, anti-gravity magnets boots, a tear gas cannon, a smoke pulse cannon, decibel defense, and a voice changer. It allowed the former commissioner to take the place of Batman for a short period of time. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. Before we get on to the number 1 pick, I just want to say a quick thanks from me and all of us at Top 10 Nerd for watching, liking, and subscribing. Unlike Batman and the Bat Family, we appreciate and need your support all of the time, not just when things get difficult. Number 1, the Hellbat suit. So we all know Batman is just a dude in a batsuit. He has to use his ingenuity and skill to defeat threats that metahumans can face one-on-one. But when the threat is too great, the metahumans help him out. Enter the Hellbat suit. Designed by the Justice League core members, the Hellbat suit was actually forged by Superman inside the sun. The Hellbat armor allows Batman to fly, run at super speed, and emit huge energy blasts, while also boosting up his strength and durability. Obviously it has to have a downside, or there's no reason he wouldn't wear it all the time. It slowly drains Bruce Wayne's life force, and would actually kill him if he wore it too long. There's always a catch.
Number 10, Future Foundation. This suit was given to Spider-Man following Johnny Storm's death in the comics, when Spider-Man stepped in to sort of take over his role with the Fantastic Four, as well as working with the Future Foundation. This suit is made out of unstable molecules, which Reed created / discovered. The makeup of the suit makes it more durable, increasing its resistance to pressure, heat, and cold. Spider-Man can also change the look of his suit with just a thought, turning it back to his traditional blue and red, or turning it all black to stealth mode. It can even transform to resemble civilian clothes. And in case you can't tell, I really like the Future Foundation suit. I just like Fantastic Four things. Number 9, Symbiote suit. Although the Symbiote suit was not a fan favorite due to its color scheme and it wasn't as predictable as Parker would have liked, it is also an insanely powerful suit. Spider-Man sought out Reed Richards just to help him figure out how to get the thing off of him, and to figure out just what was going on with this wacky suit. And even after the suit was detached from Peter, it would end up escaping and find its way back to him. This of course was because it was a symbiote, so it was a living being. The symbiote, in fact, that would go on to become Venom. But even without Spider-Man's abilities, it was pretty strong. It had its own built-in pocket dimension that you could store things in, which was only really ever mentioned one time, or used one time. And the suit can also shapeshift, is super durable, and can heal its wearer, making it likely one of the coolest suits that Peter Parker has ever worn or owned. Do you own a symbiote if it's with you? I guess it's like it chose to stay with him instead of owned. Just had a relationship with. So even if everyone was not a fan of its color scheme, it was still a pretty cool suit. Number 8, Miles' suit. So this one, obviously, it does not belong to Peter, but instead to one of the alternate Ultimate Spider-Men, and one of the most popular Spider alternates around, Miles Morales. Miles was given this suit by S.H.I.E.L.D. after his old costume was deemed hideous by Nick Fury. Being that it's made by S.H.I.E.L.D., you can bet that it is built for action. It also comes with S.H.I.E.L.D. crafted web shooters, which appear to be an improvement on the original design. And its color scheme of red and black definitely lends better than the more traditional look of red and blue in regards to stealth. Number 7, Future Foundation suit. This suit was given to Spider-Man by the Future Foundation and was created by Mr. Fantastic. The Future Foundation suit was a suit that Spider-Man wore during his time with the FF, where he took over Johnny Storm's place on the team's roster after the Human Torch was suspected dead. Of course, this is comics, so the Human Torch would eventually return. The Future Foundation costume is made out of unstable molecules, which makes it more durable, prevents it from getting dirty, and can allow the wearer to change its appearance and color scheme with a simple thought, helping Peter to go from his everyday civilian appearance to superhero in an instant, which is pretty powerful for a costume vigilante with a secret identity to uphold. Number 6, Mark II suit. I love that Spider-Man numbers his suits like Iron Man. It's real cute. The Mark II is a suit Spider-Man created when he was suffering from a loss of his Spidey sense. To compensate, this armor was bulletproof and more durable than most, allowing him to get shot multiple times by villain and mass murderer the Insane Massacre without being harmed in battle. The suit was used by both Superior Spider-Man and and Peter Parker himself. It also came with magnetic web shooters which helped to block radio frequencies so that Massacre could not activate his traps from a distance.
Number 5. 1602 armor. I think that everyone can see what Neil Gaiman and Adam Kubert were going for with the Iron Man design from the 1602 miniseries. It is a steampunk-esque design from the Middle Ages, and that sounds like a great idea on paper, but in execution it's actually very over-designed and somehow more complex than the Mark I armor. In the world of 1602, Anthony Stark is Lord Iron, a man who was taken captive during the Anglo-Spanish War and forced to make weapons, after being subjected to torture by this universe's version of Bruce Banner named David Banner. Later on, after Banner becomes the Hulk, Stark is summoned by the King of England to track Banner down. Needing some sort of protection in order to survive, Stark dons his iron armor that is powered by lightning bottles that provides him with super strength and near invulnerability alongside a couple other fun electricity powered gadgets. Stark eventually found the Hulk, and despite his pleas for forgiveness, Stark continued to attack him until a much bigger threat forced the two of them to team up. With a busy paint scheme and design, the 1602 armor ends up making Iron Man look a bit like a Doctor Who villain, which probably wasn't the intention, and that is why it's on this list today. Check it out in 2005's Marvel 1602 New World number 2. Number 4. Mark 6 Hydro Armor. So usually whenever Tony has to go underwater, he just dives right in and the armor protects him. However, in a few cases, Tony has had to dive pretty deep into the ocean, and obviously the pressure could crush even a regular armored suit with ease. So Tony wound up creating a special armor built to withstand those pressures, which became the Mark 6 Hydro Armor. The Hydro Armor has all the standard features of the regular Iron Man suits, but reconfigured to be more effective underwater. That means there's carefully adapted repulsor beams, more life support, grapples, a feature that fires an underwater electric shock, and the ability to release an inky chemical like an octopus. The armor is treated with lights and a bioluminescence to allow Tony to see in the pitch darkness of the oceans. It's also maneuverable enough for Tony to handle fighting whales, sharks, or the Submariner himself. He doesn't use it as often as other armors, but this suit proves Tony can handle pretty much any environment pretty well. Now, why is this armor dumb, you ask? Well, like I said, he doesn't use it too often, but also because he's wearing armor just inside another armor. You can imagine how uncomfortable that would be, and honestly, you'd think with those seemingly endless resources, he would just make one that just did everything. Check out the first Hydra armor in 1987's Iron Man number 218. Number 3. Mark 19 Skin Armor. Now it seems to me that Tony Stark is really into that whole metal but make it weird concept when it comes to his armors, and that is definitely seen in one of his earliest experiments with that concept, the skin armor. This suit was made of an adaptive liquid alloy that could simultaneously become as hard as adamantium and yet stay flexible enough to bounce and bend comfortably. It's a super cool concept and made for a pretty badass suit since it featured some upgraded versions of Stark's existing tech and was able to be controlled remotely. However, the way this suit formed is actually what makes it a rather dumb design. Basically, the flexible alloy only formed the gold sections of his armor and would only harden or form around the red parts on command, meaning that Tony would be running around like looking half dressed most of the time, which is pretty ridiculous. Check it out for yourself in 2001's Iron Man Volume 3 number 42 and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Number 2. Iron Lantern. Hailing from Marvel and DC's amalgam universe comes Harold Stark, a combination of Hal Jordan and Tony Stark, who acts as a hero under the name of Iron Lantern. In this reality, Stark was injured after an alien ship crashed into Earth, and in an attempt to stay alive, he made an armor out of the wreckage of the ship, using the Lantern power battery he found as the power source. This suit not only allowed him to survive, it also granted him all of the powers of the Green Lantern. Using these newfound powers, Stark was operating as the Iron Lantern and took down many powerful enemies such as Madame Sapphire, Great White, and of course his arch nemesis, Mandarin Estro. Now, I want to get it out of the way that I love the amalgam universe. I've talked about it in so many other videos, but honestly, this hero just isn't doing it for me. Iron Man's calling card is that he's just a man, but with that ring, the iron seems pretty redundant and kind of eliminates the humanity imbued into Tony Stark. Check it out for yourself in 1997's Iron Lantern, number 1. And number 1, the Sniff Buster. Now you're probably sitting there like, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist. And I mean, technically you're right since I completely made up the name, but it'll all make sense once I explain the suit a little bit more. For a period of time, Iron Man's armor had a big old nose on the front of it. The true story is that Stan Lee, upon seeing an Iron Man cover, made an offhand comment asking, hey, where's the nose? Meaning that he thought the helmet just looked a little bit too snug to Tony's face for a nose to fit. However, this comment was misinterpreted terribly by others as meaning that Stan wanted a nose on the armor, so it ended up being added. They forced an in-story explanation for the iron nose, with Tony stating that he redesigned the mask to allow for a bit more expression, which would thus increase the fearsome aspects of his character. To no surprise, no one in the Marvel Universe bought it, and many characters remarked how ridiculous Iron Man's nose hole made him look. Luckily, the nasal armor was relatively short-lived and has not re-emerged since. Go take a look at it for yourself in 1974's The Invincible Iron Man number
68.
Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Dawnbreaker. This version of Bruce Wayne first appeared in Dark Days the Casting issue 1, residing in, of course, the Dark Multiverse on Earth 32. The story picks up with the usual Bruce Wayne origins. His parents are both taken out by Joe Chill that night, but here young Bruce Wayne comes into contact with a Green Lantern ring. So Bruce approaches Joe and he's pretty pissed at this point. He's going for blood right off the bat. He ended up turning Joe Chill into bones and dust. And then when Bruce met Gordon, they got off on the wrong foot initially as well. Gordon greets him and he's like, Green Lantern, wasn't sure you'd show up. And then Bruce straight up's like, hey man, don't threaten me. Really awkward vibes, just quick awkward vibes right off the bat, no friendship there. He was taking out Gotham's villains super quick. Each time he did it, he would scream and yell about how much his parents deserved to not be dead. He flew the Penguin into outer space. That's how you handle a guy right there. You take him and you go, right off planet. Okay, so with all of these brutal assassinations, the rest of the Green Lanterns knew they had to come and put a stop to this madness. Only it wasn't that easy. Bruce destroyed all of them. He executed the entire Guardians of the Universe. Beware his power, Dawnbreaker's might. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It helps our channel out and the studio quite a bit. You guys are super supportive. Thank you so much. Click, 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 and then we'll continue. Okay, let's do it. Number 9, Speeding Bullets Batman. There's a name. This Elseworld storyline showed us what would happen if Kal-El's ship did not crash land in Smallville, but rather it landed in Gotham. So when the inevitable did happen and his parents were attacked and killed that night, Bruce Wayne, real named Kal-El, used his alien powers and unwillingly killed the robbers. His powers just came out in the form of heat vision. Toast. They didn't make it at all. No chance. And after this point, Bruce Wayne wasn't the same. He was ruthless. He had the powers of a god and so much anger, guilt, and pain inside. He had no idea what to do with this. So he would just repeat over and over, the bullets, the bullets, the bullets. Like he was in bad shape mentally. He hid from the world in his mansion of solitude, and he couldn't even look at photos of anything related to death as it was super triggering. And then one night, a group of robbers tried to invade said house, but again, heat vision wins this round. Didn't make it. A little older and a little wiser, Kal-El decided that now is time to use his powers to get the job done. Help out, you know, be a role model. He took up the identity of the Batman, but still, just because he rocked the cape doesn't mean he was doing all the right things. For example, when Lois Lane was kicked out of Lex Luthor's limo later on, she was about to be attacked by thugs, but Batman came in and burned their flesh while splintering their bones. Or you could fly them to jail. Or vaporize their eyes. That works too. You can vaporize their eyes. That's sure, that gets the job done. Number 8, Darkclaw. Veering out of the Dark Multiverse for a hot minute, we have to talk about Darkclaw. Coming from the Amalgam universe, where DC and Marvel combined powers, literally, we get a Wolverine-Batman mix. He first appeared in Legends of the Darkclaw issue 1 back in 1996, and his origin story is a hot mess. At just age 5, Logan Wayne witnessed the death of his parents. The usual stuff, but then he was sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. Better bring a jacket. It's cold. His uncle too bit the bullet after poachers ambushed him. So Logan Wayne enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force when he was of age, and shortly after was submitted into the Weapon X program. So much amalgam fun. There Logan got the adamantium treatment, but the Weapon X program was terminated because it was deemed a failure. Why, you ask? Logan Wayne still retained his conscience. So where to go next but to travel the world? Logan studied abroad. He studied a variety of crime fighting skills in his time. He studied criminology, forensics, martial arts, gymnastics, you name it. This guy learned all 127 major styles of combat. And yes, Thumb Wars is included. You never know, you never know. That mixed with Wolverine's abilities, I mean, you're screwed. Good game. Number 7, 1800s Batman. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, a tale of the Batman, written by Brian Augustin and brought to life by Mike Mignola. Here comes a tale from the Victorian era where Batman is hunting down Jack the Ripper. So it's 1889, and while these attacks are happening over and over, the general public is starting to whisper through the winds and talk amongst themselves in the shadows that maybe, just maybe, it's Batman who is committing these crimes because, well, he's dressed like that. Pretty fair assumption. We love some Victorian drama. Let's get spooky. So we get historic killers here, we get old-timey gangs, Bruce gets framed. It's an entirely new version of Batman, but it's an older take on the Caped Crusader. To see Batman purely rely on his detective skills more than anything makes for a really enjoyable story. I mean, there's no crazy gadgets or cool Batmobile that flicks him up a building. He's just like, I got it, I'm a detective, let's do this. Steampunk Batman for the win. It got the feature film treatment in 2018 with Sam Liu directing, so if you're looking for an old-timey superhero animated flick with Jack the Ripper, there you go. Just made your day. What do you know? Number 6, Thomas Wayne. Coming from the Flashpoint storyline released back in 2011, written by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert, Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, was actually the one to become Batman in this timeline. Now in this universe, Bruce Wayne was the one who got shot that fateful night and he bit the bullet. The world of Flashpoint is this altered reality where Barry accidentally ends up in, where Batman is older and much more violent, and not so much as a detective like Bruce. See, what happened was, in this alternate reality, Bruce's mother, Martha, is so traumatized that she becomes the Joker. That's why during the opening credits of Batman vs Superman, we were all pumped in the theater because Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen, two amazing actors, were in such a small opening scene as Bruce's parents, with zero dialogue. Now with recent set photos of Michael Keaton in the new Flash movie, we're still in for a great time, but we were so close to the best Flash movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a dark Thomas Wayne. Jeffrey Dean Morgan did say on Twitter that ever since Zack Snyder walked away, his whole bit in that world has walked away with him. But we still got Michael Keaton, so it's still fine. It's good. It's good.
At the 5th spot, we have the Trinity armor, which Batman uses to go into battle with Bizarro. The look of this armor in the original comics is pretty clunky, but it was still able to do some really cool stuff that the original suit wasn't able to do. It could throw electrified nets, grenades, and it had solar lasers attached to the fists, which prove helpful in his assault alongside Wonder Woman. In these cases, a stronger suit comes in handy for Batman, who sometimes finds himself alongside more powerful beings with superpowers, allowing for more of a fair matchup for the masked vigilante. This suit has a lot of armor as well, and parts to the costume that give him more strength, and robotic pieces that allow for more speed. The suit protected him from full-on punches from Bizarro, which says a lot about the man-made suit. Bizarro does get the best of Batman after a few too many superpowered punches, but the suit served its purpose until Superman was able to arrive and finish the job. At number 4, we have the Stealth Suit, which was used very briefly in Superman Unchained number 2. This suit was designed for Bruce to find a way to hide from Superman. It's designed to take the wavelengths that the suit emits and hide it from superpowered beings. Another plus of this suit is how light it is. Although Batman is usually up against run-of-the-mill human criminals, this suit would probably be the best suit for a real infiltration during an operation against anyone superpowered. Considering Batman is often outmatched in situations against superpowered beings, being able to hide and move around with a stealthy suit is hugely useful. And this suit is so obscure, I figure that only the real fans even know about it. Batman really has a knack for putting these suits together when he needs them most and then scrapping them. I hope they're made out of recyclable materials. Okay, at number 3, we've got the Suit of Sorrows. This one is really unique both because of its age and the tales that it actually has magical capabilities. Built during the Crusades in 1190 CE, this suit at first glance seems like a basic piece of armor, but it's known to actually cause the user to become more violent. And when it's gifted to Batman by Talia al Ghul, this proved to be true. The reason why this suit sits higher on the list is that it's the only suit that I could find which is actually known to be enchanted in some way. Every other suit uses some kind of complex human technology, but a magical Batman suit just had to fit on this list. Besides, it could come in handy if Batman ever needed to go extra hard on some of his enemies, helping him to abandon his usual heroic tendencies to help him go a little harder on the tougher foes. Not sure who or when this could be useful, but it just strikes me as one of those pieces that Batman might want to keep around for a day when he's really matched against someone pretty bad. At number 2, we have Batman's Insider uniform. This suit is created with extremely high-powered technology, allowing for teleportation. This suit is so cool because it's able to connect with Justice League teleporters, allowing the wearer to teleport anywhere on Earth. This, I'm pretty sure, is a first for any Batsuit, but there is a catch. The suit requires a lot of energy and needs to be recharged pretty often. But that's expected for a piece of human tech like this. The good news is that aside from being able to be charged by any typical power source, this suit can also be recharged through any source of power being directed at it, which hints at some pretty cool absorption powers against superpowered opponents. This suit was designed to have Batman fit into the Justice League more seamlessly with abilities that allow him to adopt powers from everyone else on the team. Although all the powers are limited to the energy supply of the suit, it has super speed mode to replicate the Flash, heat vision mode to replicate Superman, either through the eyes or the helmet's like central eye, willpower mode inspired by the Green Lantern rings, which offers a big concentrated blast of energy like the Owen power rings, and the suit also has camouflage mode inspired by Martian Manhunter, allowing the user to turn invisible. It also has a cord like that of Wonder Woman, which forces those ensnared in it to tell the truth, also being able to zap that foe with an electric shock just for a little bit of inspiration. And to top it all off, the suit allows for flight using magnetic fields. Just thought they'd throw that on the end there. Batman can fly in this suit. Okay, at number 1 we have the Justice Buster. This suit just looks absolutely insane, and it was used to take down the entire Justice League when Batman went bad on them. It's obvious by its appearance that it has enhanced armor, taking hits from supervillains with actual super strength, which is usually unheard of for Batsuits. And some of its very specialized offensive functions are its bind of veils, used to incapacitate Wonder Woman, its hyper-fast servers, used to process information faster than the Flash can run. This part of the suit was most expensive, as well as a hyper-fast cannon that can take out the Flash despite his super speed. This thing fires faster than Batman can even sense anything has happened due to the servers mentioned before, which is insane. He's able to take down Aquaman with his powdered magnesium carbonate cannon, which binds Aquaman's body in this goopy substance, preventing movement. An electromagnetic nerve tree used to defeat Cyborg, a citrine neuralizer which is used to defeat the Green Lantern, prevents him from using his ring. The fist of the suit actually contained red suns collected from dead solar systems, which is a weakness of Superman's, making his punches super effective against Superman in this suit. It also has plasma shields to defend against Superman's heat vision and thermal capabilities to protect against freeze breath. Wow, that's a mouthful, that's a lot of stuff, and I didn't even get all of it. This is objectively the most powerful suit in Batman's arsenal, having so much in it and so much use that he can actually take out one of the most powerful superpowered alliances in the cosmos. Wild.
Number 10, the Bombastic Bagman. Okay, so I'll say outright that I may be a little bit biased when it comes to this one because it is one of the funniest Spider-Man suits I've ever seen, and it's also one of my favorites. Now when Reed Richards first examined the alien symbiote and separated it from Peter, he was left without a costume, and obviously he couldn't go web slinging without a costume, as it would just reveal his true identity. So what did he do? Well, thanks to the Human Torch, he was given a spare Fantastic Four costume to cover his body, a paper bag to cover his face, and a good old kick me sign was placed on his back by Johnny himself as a prank. Note how I didn't mention that he got any shoes of any kind, so he literally walked around barefoot in basically a onesie and with a paper bag over his head. The only real redeeming quality is that the suit itself was made of unstable molecules, which insulated the wearer from electrical assaults and performed all other functions any of the Fantastic Four's own suits would. Other than that though, it's just a silly look, and man, do I love it. Check it out in its first appearance in 1984's Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, number 258. Number 9, Negative Zone Suit. This suit worn by Peter was one that he gained during his time in the Negative Zone. He ventured into the Negative Zone to rescue 3 children, and much to his surprise, once he set foot in that mysterious zone, his costume was altered. Changing from its normal red and blue, it transformed into a black and white suit, and that actually gave Peter a pretty sweet advantage as it made him pretty much invisible in the Negative Zone. There have been a few other instances where Peter has donned this suit, one that may or may not get covered a little bit later on this list, and then another time after Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, touched his costume and forced it to change color. Check out this suit for yourself in pretty much every Spider-Man video game out there, or head on over to 1998 Spider-Man number 90. Number 8, Dusk. During a period of time where Spider-Man wasn't allowed to keep acting as Spider-Man because he was accused of some pretty terrible and serious crimes, he adopted a few different personas so that he could continue saving lives. One of these personas was Dusk, and as Dusk he pretended to be a mercenary with a quiet and serious personality. Peter used all 4 of his new identities to confuse his foes and to contradict speculation that the new heroes were all in fact the same person. Once he cleared his name, he abandoned all of his new personas though. Now the Dusk suit allows the user to become virtually invisible in the shadows and glide short distances. Cassie St. Commons also wore the suit for some time after that, and then after her death and revival, the suit was altered using Dark Force energy, which allowed her to teleport herself and others anywhere she wished to be. She could also manipulate shadows to form objects or constructs of solid dark energy, could regenerate damaged tissue, and she had a clairvoyant ability to sense the whereabouts of all of her teammates. Check out this suit in action in its first appearance in 1998 Spider-Man number 90. Coming in at number 7, we have Iron Lad's armor. Stepping away from Tony Stark for a hot second, let us take a look at the armor Nathaniel Richards wears as Iron Lad. This neurokinetic suit was actually given to him by Kang the Conqueror, his future self, and Nate decided that instead of following in his own footsteps, he would travel to the past and enlist the help of the Avengers. However, they had already been disbanded. After downloading Vision's operating system and the Avengers failsafe program into his suit, he took up the guise of Iron Lad with plans to assemble the Young Avengers. While wearing this armor, Nate is able to lift 10 tons, create temporal divergences allowing him to travel through time, fire concussive blasts from his fingertips, and fly. This suit is also connected directly to his thoughts and emotions, so it's able to manifest and transform it into whatever he's thinking. For example, say if someone grabbed him and he felt scared, the suit might create some spikes to get the attacker away. During this fight with Kang the Conqueror, Nate actually removes the armor to prevent himself from being tracked, and thanks to the Vision operating system, it becomes fully sentient, allowing Nate to return to his own timeline knowing that there will be someone or something around to protect the people as part of the Young Avengers. First appearing in 2005's Young Avengers #1, why not give this whole storyline a read for yourself? Number 6, Model Number 9. Now this one doesn't really get a fancy title like the other ones for some reason, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. After just one look at it, you're probably really confused why I put it on this list today, and rightly so, because it is one of Tony's earliest models. Tony finished this model just before the first Armor Wars and was very reluctant to use it due to its high power capabilities. However, he was later forced to use it to stop firepower after he was previously defeated in his other suits, and needless to say, he kinda got a taste for it because he continued to work as Iron Man in this suit for quite some time. Equipped with a battle computer that can track up to 60 enemies at once, a universal translator, an energy shield, and so much more, this suit is really not one you want to mess with. However, that's not why I thought it should be mentioned today. This suit is unique because at one point it actually fused with the Sword of Legend, Excalibur, bestowing Tony with magical powers along with his already incredibly advanced technology. And now with a badass new look, this suit also made him invulnerable, and this suit allowed Tony to defeat an extra-dimensional eye monster before reverting back to its original form. It sucks that this form didn't last longer, but hey, I guess if you make Iron Man invincible for too long, his ego might get bigger, and I don't think anyone would be able to handle that. The Model Number 9 suit first appears in 1988's Iron Man number 231, but if you're only interested in seeing it fused with Excalibur, don't worry, I got you. Check out Iron Man number 249 and 250. Number 5, Mark 48 Cold Iron Armor. Another suit coming from the mind of Tony Stark of Earth 616 is the Cold Iron Armor, formerly known as Mark 48. It was first used by him after a stealth mission gone wrong, and Stark found himself in need of some reinforcement. At first glance, it doesn't look all that powerful in the conventional sense, but that's because it's specifically designed for the interaction with the magic realm rather than the human realm. What was otherwise a regular Iron Man suit was altered with the help of the magician Siobhan Haldane, who basically created something to help Stark survive in the world of the Dark Elves. The suit itself is made of cold metal, so just touching it weakens the Dark Elves, and it can also fire weapons made of that same iron, allowing the Armored Avenger to live up to his name just a little bit more, while being effective against the things that have a weakness to that material. All in all, this makes him deadly enough for the Elves, who normally, for mortals, are a big threat, and that is why this suit is on our list today. Check it out for yourself in 2014's Iron Man Volume 5, number 24. Number 4, Mark 29 Extremis. Yep, that is right, I'm actually talking about the Extremis armor this time. In an attempt to take down the Extremis-powered Malin, Tony did the only logical thing he could think of. Inject himself with a modified dose of Extremis to heal his injuries and allow him to pilot a suit that he'd been working on that was a bit tougher and a lot lighter than anything else he had built before. The modified dose allowed the crucial undersheath of the Iron Man suit to be super compressed and stored in the hollows of Tony's bones. The undersheath became directly wired to Tony's brain, which allowed him to control the new Iron Man armor with thought and even interface with other technologies. As one of Tony's more famous and recognizable suits, you probably already know a bit about it and what it's capable of, but I'm gonna give you the rundown anyways. This suit was capable of regeneration for both the suit and its wearers, could be piloted remotely, allowed Tony to access pretty much any form of technology, could time travel, and was pretty adaptable as the neural net would not only protect the wearer from superpowered attacks, but could also simulate them. Also, can't forget that it came equipped with the standard unibeam, pulse bolts, and flight ability as well. Why not check it out for yourself, starting with 2005's Iron Man Volume 4, number 4. Number 3, Mark 38 Uru Armor. Making his debut in the Fear Itself storyline, the Uru armor, also known as the Iron Destroyer, was an enchanted bleeding edge armor that was based off the Destroyer, enhanced with Asgardian magic, and covered in Asgardian Uru metal. During the War of the Serpent, Odin Borson let Stark have access to the forges and created an arsenal of Uru weapons to combat the enemy forces raising the Earth. In order to acquire his own enhancements, Tony merged the systems of the bleeding edge armor with Uru, turning it into the Iron Destroyer until the end of the battle. This specific suit's capabilities are not entirely known, but since it is an improvement on the Bleeding Edge armor, then we can only assume it still has all the capabilities of that suit, such as regeneration, that whole energy blade and deflector shields thing, and of course, the normal weaponry that you would expect. Now, just imagine all of that, coupled with the almighty power of Asgardian magic and a near indestructible metal. That would make for one ridiculously OP suit. So why not check it out for yourself in 2011's Fear Itself number 7, and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Number 2, Mark 68. Now, if you're not familiar with the more recent Iron Man storyline, don't worry, I will not spoil too much of it for you, but just in case you don't want to know anything about it, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. After Tony finally realized he was the real Tony Stark, it's weird, I know, but it makes sense in context, trust me, he started working on this specific suit using all of the virtual resources available to him. What sets his suit apart from his other suits is that it's not actually made of metal or any matter at all. This suit is composed of solid holograms from the E-scape. This allows Tony to create any weapon he could possibly think of, including repulsor beams and unibeams. The armor also augments Tony's strength to the point where he could easily rip apart the armor of his brother Arno. Now defensively, the armor can protect against any standard weapons like missiles and unconventional ones like repulsor beams as well. I think the best way to sum up the suit is with a quote from Tony Stark himself. "Come on, Arno, still making armor out of metal? How very 2020. I'm a futurist. My new suit's made of an entire world, the E-scape. Solid hologram, virtual armor, it's only my limit. My imagination." Take a look at this armor for yourself, starting with 2020's Iron Man 2020, Volume 2, Number 5. And Number 1, Xiran armor. Making its debut in What If Newer Fantastic Four, a new iteration of the Fantastic Four was introduced to us made up of Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Hulk. This iteration goes up against Thanos as they are apparently the best chance of taking him down, and they do actually succeed with Wolverine cutting off his arm. But anyways, I'm going to focus on the Xiran suit now. When Xiran, the tester of the Celestials, was murdered by Thanos via the use of the Infinity Gauntlet, the newer Fantastic Four brought Xiran's arm through their modified Negative Zone portal where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, who had been permanently separated from the Hulk at the time, could study it properly. After learning that the Celestials controlled their armor via sheer willpower and thought alone, Tony managed to adjust the armor to respond to human thought, and linked it to the Negative Zone using Mr. Fantastic's technology, and then took control of the armor and made it his own. The actual capabilities of this suit are not fully known, but with the vast cosmic powers it should possess, the armor is able to withstand planet-shattering impacts with ease, and the armor is able to withstand strikes from nuclear warheads, and is said to even be more powerful than some of the Celestials out there. And not to mention, it's said to be even more powerful than the God Killer Mark II. If you've got any more info on this suit, please let me know in the comments below. I am honestly in love with it and would love to know some more. For now though, check it out for yourself in 2009's What If Newer Fantastic Four.
In its 10th Bat Baby. In Batman number 147, published in 1962, we are introduced to Bat Baby, offering a glimpse into the distinctiveness of Batman during the Silver Age of comics. Contrasting the modern portrayal of Batman as a brooding and conflicted loner, this story reveals a peculiar side of the Caped Crusader. The narrative unfolds as Batman and Robin infiltrate a criminal hideout, initially gaining the upper hand. However, the criminals manage to escape when their mad scientist deploys a de-aging ray on Batman, basically think sky-high pacifier, regressing him into a 4-year-old child. Remarkably though, Batman retains his adult intellect and physical strength. Rather than being dismayed by this transformation, Bruce embraces it, donning a miniaturized cape, cowl, and Batman-themed overalls to become Bat Baby. The criminals attempted to ridicule him, but Bat Baby uses his enhanced abilities to foil their plans. So yeah, it is worth noting that de-aging superheroes was a curious trend in this era as well, with characters like Superboy and Wonder Girl being popular variations of Superman and Wonder Woman. However, this takes that to a literal extreme. The concept of a baby Bruce Wayne fighting crime did not have lasting popularity, and Bat Baby remains a singular appearance in DC Comics, which was in Batman number 147. But I think we can all kind of appreciate that. In at 9, Satan Batman. In this future incarnation, Damian Wayne assumes the role of Batman following the demise of the second Batman. Possessing supernatural abilities and the willingness to take lives, Damian believed that resorting to lethal methods was necessary to combat crime, setting him apart from any other members of the Bat family. Despite the efforts of Father James Gordon and Alfred to guide him towards a different path, Damien remained steadfast in his convictions. A heated argument with his father resulted in Damien severely injuring him with a dangerously close stab wound, leading to his expulsion from the Batcave by Alfred. During his tenure as Batman, Damien faced a formidable adversary in the form of Michael Lane, the former Azrael, driven by an unhinged obsession to destroy Batman under the influence of Simon Hurt. As chaos engulfed the planet, Gotham became a quarantine city overrun by Joker-affected inhabitants, and Talia al Ghul, Damien's mother, ordered the city's annihilation through a nuclear strike authorized by Simon Hurt, who had risen to the highest echelons of the American government. Remarkably, Damien survived the cataclysmic blast due to a pact he had made with Dr. Hurt, so I don't know what Simon was thinking, really, okay? He didn't think that one through. In at 8, Dark Claw. Logan Wayne is a combination of Bruce Wayne and Logan, being first introduced in Marvel vs. DC number 3. At 5 years old, after witnessing his parents' death at the hands of an armed robber, Logan Wayne was sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. All hail the North! His uncle was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, basically the Canadian FBI, and was ambushed and killed by poachers a short time after Logan's arrival in Canada. After the death of his uncle, Logan was sent to live in a home run by nuns, and as soon as he was old enough, he enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force. Logan was submitted to the Weapon X project, after that, the Canadian Super Soldier program, and it was here that Logan had adamantium bonded to his bones and learned of his meta-mutant nature. And since this is an amalgam, they are both considered metas and mutants because that's basically the same thing between the universes. The Weapon X project was terminated due to its dual failure. Logan was ineffective because he actually had a conscience, but this didn't stop him from being pretty damn bad. Having all the powers of Logan, as well as things like the Clawcopter and Clawmobile, and I'm not even kidding, this is in essence a superpowered Batman, which I think we all should know is pretty dope, although I wonder if he has a Claw credit card. In at 7, Batmite. Batmite was a mischievous imp who appeared as a small childlike man donning an ill-fitting Batman costume with a black lightning bolt symbol. Hailing from another dimension, Batmite possessed nearly limitless magical powers. In his dimension, the resident imps idolized the heroes of Batman's world and would mimic their actions and adventures. Batman happened to be Batmite's favorite hero, obviously, leading to the imp visiting him on multiple occasions, often orchestrating peculiar events just to witness his hero in action. Despite his admiration though, Batmite was more of a bothersome pest than a supervillain, often realizing his actions had upset Batman and then leaving him alone. During his first visit to Earth, Batmite used his magical abilities to enhance Batman and Robin's crime-fighting efforts, albeit causing more trouble than assistance, but Batman eventually requested that Batmite apprehend the criminals himself. After fulfilling Batman's request, the imp complied and departed, vowing to return someday. Batmite did reappear later, this time causing chaos, not only for Batman and Robin, but also for the newly introduced Batwoman. So yeah, I mean, he's an imp, and imps are always shifty, okay? We know that. It's been a thing. And at 6, Super Batman. When Dr. Wayne and Mrs. Wayne discover a baby named Kal-El in a mysterious spacecraft, they choose to raise him as their own child. They give him the name Bruce and instill him with a deep respect for all individuals regardless of social class or race. Mrs. Wayne, with her nurturing love, cultivates his heart, while Thomas Wayne, though emotionally reserved, proves to be a kind and compassionate father. Recognizing Kal-El's incredible abilities, his speed, agility, and unbreakable bones, Dr. Wayne focuses on pushing Bruce's mental limits rather than his physical ones, since, you know, that's not really an issue. He imparts Bruce with the belief that cowards and bullies resort to violence, but Bruce, as someone exceptional, should aspire to be something higher, something better. Following the tragedy of his parents' death, Bruce withdraws from the world, finding solace in his parents' mansion. Consumed by a profound hatred for violence and death, the haunting images of death torment his sanity. However, one fateful day, a group of robbers invade his home. Bruce, unleashing his powers, brutally attacks them, tearing them apart with his heat vision. It is in this moment that Bruce realizes the potential of his abilities and resolves to utilize his powers for a greater purpose and adopts the identity of Batman, a symbol of justice and protection. So basically, it's if Superman was Bruce Wayne, which is dope as hell. It's from Superman Speeding Bullets, in case you were wondering. Check it out, it's actually really cool.
Number 5, Nomex. Even though the Nomex suit was actually designed before the plated batsuit armor in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, I still actually think that this one is better and a more powerful suit overall. It offered Bruce a lot more protection when in battle. It made him almost bullet and knife proof with its Kevlar bi-weave. This armor was actually based on a rejected military design that, while impressive, was considered too costly by the US military for them to use. Or any other military, that's how expensive it was. Obviously not an issue for Bruce Wayne though. The suit was created by Lucius Fox and would later be modified by Bruce and Alfred. For the purpose of this list, we're focusing on that modified version, which has a few key improvements that allow Batman to easily eavesdrop on conversations in the vicinity but out of earshot, an improved helmet, as the original one was defective, and a latex coating which helps to mask Batman's heat signature. The major downside with this suit is that flexibility is reduced somewhat, making Batman a bit slower in battle and preventing him from turning his head. Still, I give the Nomex suit 4 out of 5 pouches. Number 4, Prime. Obviously, one of the best suits around has to still be the Earth Prime suit. It is one of the most modern, and because it isn't restricted to the cinematic realism we often apply to films to make sure characters aren't too powerful and to also make sure things are logical for people that are watching, it can be a little bit more OP. The suit is also made of Kevlar with some titanium also thrown in the mix. It's bulletproof and also helps to protect Batman from high impact damage and blunt force trauma. So if he falls out of a window from a low-rise building, he'll likely be able to still get up and even possibly recover and continue the fight. It's also flame retardant. His mask also has a thin lead lining to protect him from X-ray powers and abilities, and includes sonar capabilities, enhanced auditory sensors, infrared, and night vision. Like the plated suit from the Dark Knight trilogy, his mask also comes equipped with defensive measures like an electrical shock or gas emissions, which help to protect Batman's secret identity should someone try to unmask him. In his utility belt, he also carries a slew of tools that we've seen him utilize over the years in battle, including a kryptonite ring gifted to him by Superman himself, just in case it should ever be needed. I give the Prime suit 4 out of 5 utility belt pouches. Lots of cool stuff in that utility belt. Number 3, Project Batman Exosuit. The Project Batman Exosuit was created for Jim Gordon when he filled in as Batman after the events of Endgame. Not only was Jim Gordon trained up and enhanced himself in order to become the newly appointed Batman, but he was also given this nifty suit to use as well. The suit had 2 layers, a very svelte undersuit, which was sleek and trim that Gordon wore, and the mechanical exosuit, which was like a small mech. This suit came equipped with live rounds, rocket launchers, and all the bells and whistles when it came to tech. It came with the neural guidance system, emergency response equipment including a defibrillator, fire and heat sonics, cannons, a retractable thermo-resist blackout visor, rocket boosters, and camouflage capabilities. It was pretty nuts. Oh, it could also just do its own thing and you didn't even have to pilot. It could be like on autopilot and also be like helping Jim Gordon while he was Batman outside of the suit as well, which is nuts. For the Project Batman suit, I gotta give it a solid 4 out of 5 pouches, because it is crazy. I mean, imagine if Batman wore that suit. That would be nuts. Like Bruce Wayne Batman, not Jim Gordon Batman, who was good, but you know, he's not Bruce Wayne. Number 2, Hellbat. Hellbat is an amazing suit of basically nanotech armor. It was created for Batman by the Justice League to help him increase his stats for battles in which he was completely outclassed. The suit is extremely durable, tough and strong, and can be summoned or dismissed at will via AI tech. The suit has cloaking capabilities, can give Batman literal wings to fly on, and can produce a powerful energy blast from its bat insignia. The downside with this suit is that it's not indestructible, and powerful enemies like Darkseid have damaged it before. It also drains Batman's metabolism when he uses it to increase his own physical abilities such as strength, toughness, or speed, so he needs to be careful as overuse of this element of the suit could actually end up resulting in his death. Still, Batman doesn't even need the Justice League to reassemble this suit after it's first made, and not only does it look cool, but it is very, very OP. I give this suit 5 out of 5 utility belt pouches. Maybe even 6, actually. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if there's a 6 on this list, but these last few, they're definitely pushing it. Number 1, Insider. The Insider was a super cool spy suit that Batman used after he returned from being MIA, but was believed dead following a battle with Darkseid, which didn't actually leave him dead, but did leave him having weird time travel adventures. It was a long story. Returning home, he decided to check in with the Bat family and see how they were doing in his absence with the care of Gotham before revealing himself, because Batman. He created a suit to help disguise himself, which had various different modes that allowed him to basically mimic the powers of various members of the Justice League to help keep his identity secret. Although he also included Batman himself in those modes, because Batman is also a member of the Justice League. And it'd be weird if he didn't. If he didn't, I feel like people might be like, maybe it's Batman pretending to be everybody else. This allowed him to maintain an air of mystery while also giving him a really powerful and cool power set with his suit. Oh yeah, and he could also fly and teleport in this suit, because why not? Couldn't teleport super far, but he could still teleport. I give this suit 5 out of 5 pouches, and some bonus Batarang style points, because it's super cool. Throw those Batarangs around.
Number 10, Mark 1 Model 3. Okay, I want to get it out of the way right now that I am in no way talking smack about the design of the original Iron Man suit. I mean, although it was bulky and cumbersome, it's absolutely an iconic design, and more importantly, it was built with a purpose. Tony found himself in a bad situation and needed to escape, so he built an armor out of any materials available to him. Makes absolute sense. The quote-unquote upgraded gold version of this suit, however, not so much. Tony decided that the gray color of his armor was far too scary, or I guess he was kind of told that because the biggest inspiration for this redesign came from a date with Marion Rogers, who told Tony that Iron Man could really use a nice paint job, so that he'd better resemble a knight in shining armor. Tony obviously took this to heart, and the gold armor was born because he thought it would make him a more approachable hero. This design obviously didn't stick around for too long, as not long after he adopted the first iteration of the classic red and gold color scheme that the world now knows so well and loves. Fun fact though, the gold-plated armor is actually the reason Iron Man has the nickname the Golden Avenger. Check out the Mark 1 in its first appearance in 1963's Tales of Suspense number 39. Number 9, Mark 33 Submarine Argonaut. The Mark 33 armor isn't the first deep sea variant of the Iron Man armor, but it is pretty bad if I do say so myself. It is one of the 5 different Iron Man armors that Tony created from the Argonaut series, developed to augment his extremist-based armor technology. The Submarine Argonaut was a yellow armor that had clawed hands and feet, was capable of a little bit of camouflage, and had a deep sea range of about 2,563 meters. Basically, it was a pressurized suit that allowed Tony to operate in the deepest depths of the ocean. Now why is this a dumb armor, you ask? Well, mostly because Tony never actually got around to using it, or any of the 5 Argonaut suits for that matter. The armors were instead triggered via remote when the son of Ho Yinsen was shot and killed by SHIELD forces. This armor then attacked Namor and was later destroyed by Iron Man himself and left to sink to the bottom of the ocean, and has not been seen since. It was just kinda left there. Check out this sad underwater armor for yourself in its first appearance in 2006's Iron Man Volume 4, number 7. Number 8, Heroes Reborn. In 1996, Marvel created the controversial Heroes Reborn event/storyline in an attempt to reboot some of their characters. Tony Stark was no exception, and he was reborn in a new universe where he was even more of a selfish jerk than usual. And when he was wounded in an attack, Tony took up a special suit of armor to become a hero. Referred to in the storyline as the Prometheum armor, this rather unique looking suit was exclusive to the Heroes Reborn universe and honestly wasn't too well received. While most of Iron Man's armors tend to be clean and simplified in appearance, the Heroes Reborn armor took a different approach, with steel cords, lots of tubing, and 2 just massive exhaust pipes on the back that allow the armor to release heat. Though just a prototype, Tony was required to wear this armor's chest plate at all times in order to keep his heart beating and his lungs functioning properly. The suit didn't have an arc reactor and had to constantly be recharged in order to keep pumping. Overall, this armor was overly bulky and not visually appealing in the slightest. Instead of the more streamlined direction the armors had been going in, this one takes a step backwards, adding in musculature and separate plates that made it just way too complicated. Check it out for yourself in 1996's Iron Man Volume 2, number 1.
Coming in at number 7, we have the Ultimatum suit. Dimension traveling Spider-Man, that's just something that comes up in the comics again and again. And when we see Ultimatum Miles Morales, it doesn't even look like any Spider-Man I know. And that's partly why I put it on this list. It's good to have a little variation, baby. The Ultimatum suit looks like a collage between different heroes put together. And I'm gonna say it's not my favorite suit of all time, but it does have some pretty cool elements. On the back, it looks like it has Captain America's shield. The chest seems to have the circle plate glowing thing that Thor has going on. And then when you step back and look at the whole suit put together, there's some major giant man vibes. Coming in at number 6, we have the Cosmic Spider suit. Even though some comic fans don't see Miles as a legit Spider-Man, he has made some amazing accomplishments and deserves to be respected. I want you guys to know that I think Miles is a first-rate Spider-Man, so don't destroy me in the comments, please. One of the most insane things that Miles has done is become Captain Universe. This took place in Spider-Geddon number 5, and it gave Miles a whole new look. The white, blue, and black cosmic look was extremely cool, and of course he had a slew of new powers at his fingertips. He had the ability to blast energy rays out of his hands, he could fly, he had hypnosis, he had telekinesis, and that is just a few of the powers that were passed down to him. When people become Captain Universe, they are sort of a Silver Surfer-esque being with the amount of cool things they can do.
Number 5, we have Model 50 Endocyme Armor. Following the inversion spell that flipped his moral axis, Tony designed the Endocyme suit, a symbiotic suit made completely of a liquid smart metal that hardens when in contact with his body. Based off the symbiote's biology, this suit is basically meant to be on his person at all times, and it can even be controlled remotely, going as far as to take a humanoid form that is able to take commands through a psionic link. The abilities of the suit are absolutely insane. It's capable of absorbing energy, sustaining electrical currents like a never-ending taser, and even has the ability to increase its size into a makeshift Hulkbuster style suit. Fans have seen this armor go up against the likes of Storm and Spectre and come out on top with little to no damage taken. Unfortunately, or thankfully, I guess I'm not really sure at this point, it was destroyed during the Secret War and nobody has seen anything close to it ever since. Making a small cameo in 2014's Avengers Volume 5, number 32, we are fully introduced to this beast of a suit in 2015's Superior Iron Man number 1, so go take a look at it for yourself. Coming in at number 4, we have Model 51 Model Prime Armor. With the prototype first appearing in 2015's Contest of Champions number 1, this suit's full version came to life in the Invincible Iron Man Volume 3 number 1, and man, it is a pretty dang good suit. It basically combines all the aspects of Tony's other suits, making it adaptable to any task at hand. Even though it was designed solely because Tony felt threatened by Riri Williams, the 15-year-old MIT student who was able to reverse engineer some of his tech, it's a good thing it came to be because it has been very useful. Comprised of small hexagonal scales, this suit features upgraded versions of the standard Iron Man armor weaponry such as repulsor blasters that can cut through enemies with phasing abilities, and 3 unibeams on his chest, effectively making it a tri-beam. This suit also has some new tricks up its sleeves, such as a new onboard cloaking system. It can work autonomously if the pilot is injured, and most impressively, this suit can change shape at a moment's notice into anything from a sword to a complete shift into a Hulkbuster-like suit. It's also immune to a number of attacks, namely sonic attacks and EMPs, and can take a serious beating from the likes of Captain Marvel and so many more. There has also been another character in the Marvel Universe who actually donned this specific suit for a bit, but you know what, I'll let you find out who it was for yourself. Number 3, Model 37, Bleeding Edge Armor. Dubbed the next step after Extremis by Tony himself, this suit was created while he was trying to reinvent himself and his armor. Stark worked with Reed Richards to create this after getting away from running S.H.I.E.L.D. and being the head of the world. This suit existed inside of Tony Stark's body, literally forming around him thanks to incredibly powerful nanotech, and I know it's unrealistic as a set of armor made out of nanotech may seem, the Bleeding Edge armor is arguably one of the best suits that Tony Stark has ever worn. Not only does it bring the benefits of an improved Extremis to the table, the nanotech that powers it basically ensures that Iron Man is ready to fight whenever and wherever. By creating a second layer of artificial muscle over Stark's body, the armor is capable of healing itself and making it effectively invulnerable. And that, coupled with all his normal weaponry alongside a new energy blade and deflector shields, makes you wonder if it could get any better than this. It also happens to be one of Stark's most popular suits, become the hero's default look for several years, as well as the main inspiration for Tony's suit in Iron Man 3. Now, considering how quickly Iron Man can switch out of suits, 3 years with a single set of armor is pretty impressive, and that's why it's so high on this list today. Check it out in action for yourself in 2010's Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, number 25. Coming in at number 2, we have Model 61 God Killer Armor Mark II. Based on the original God Killer armor created by the Aspirant many eons earlier, Tony created this celestial-sized armor and kept it hitting, having it orbit Mars in case one day a threat was big enough to warrant using it. Powered by 8 nuclear reactors, this suit is pretty basic when it comes to weaponry, only possessing repulsor blasters. However, its speed and strength make up for it, being able to travel between Earth and Mars in a matter of minutes, and able to lift celestial beings off the ground. When the Dark Celestials came to attack Earth in 2018's Avengers Volume 8, number 5, Tony felt it was finally time and deployed this behemoth of a machine. Allowing him to hold his own against the Dark Celestials for a short period of time, it ended up being no match for the Almighty Beings after Callus the Void was able to rip off its left arm. Hoping that taking one out would cause others to retreat, Tony attempted to launch the suit into space to blow it up. However, he was stopped by an army of dead Celestials reanimated by the Horde. With no other option, Tony ejected himself from the suit and caused it to self-destruct. Even though this armor only lasted 2 issues, its sheer power and overall manufacturing cost of over $4 billion is what landed it so high on today's list. And finally, number 1, we have Model 63 Godbuster. Originating from The Escape, a virtual reality world created by Tony that allowed his mind to become unfettered from the restraints of the human brain, giving him the inspiration and knowledge he needed to create the only thing capable of destroying Motherboard, the Godbuster armor. Though little is known about the suit's full capabilities, Tony's brother Arno deemed it to be his masterpiece, referring to it as the ultimate weapon. And even Ironheart couldn't get a full read on its power level, stating that the armor radiated more power than anything she had ever seen before. After successfully taking down the villain, Tony realized this suit was far too powerful to remain in the real world and made the decision to fly the suit back into the factory it was created in and caused it to self-destruct, making the resources needed to recreate it and the suit completely destroyed and useless. Arno does eventually recreate a version of the suit that he wears as his own, but I think we can talk about that another time, maybe in part 2? Who knows? For now though, this is all we know about the best Iron Man suit ever made, so why not check it out for yourself in 2019's Tony Stark Iron Man number 10 and number 11.